Hey, shalom. Excuse me. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Shabbat Shalom for some, um, and soon to be Shabbat Shalom for myself. It's good to be back. To have these fellowships. Woo! It's been busy. We're gonna let it the room fill up a little bit more before we get started. We have a great topic of discussion, not a topic that I brought forth, but a topic that was presented on Facebook. And I read through the person's argument and I said, did some of my own independent studies and said, And for those that don't know, on this channel, that's kind of what we do. Rather than play church and act like we have all the answers, we actually sit down and actually look at what the Bible is saying for itself and not adding our own personal interpretations to what the Bible is saying. First, I want to say, how is the volume? How's the connection? How is everything? Hallelujah. Thank you, Brother AB. Sorry, my voice is going in and out right now. Excuse me. It's been difficult the past couple of weeks. Last week we had storms come through all week, and there was some flooding locally, not here, but there was some local flooding that played a role in our reception. And I'm gonna be honest, the week before that, I was just exhausted. It's been a lot harder now to do the live stream sometimes after extremely busy days, preparation day. And then when the Shabbat comes in, sometimes I'm out, I'm just chilling, I'm relaxing or whatever it may be. And then before I know it, I open up my eyes and it's like 9:30. So it's not always an intentional act to not do the live streams. And, I really enjoy doing them. I really do. But sometimes, just entering into that rest, having that rest, sometimes, thank you, Brother AB. But yeah, it does get busy, with the farmers market, food production type part where, we're selling seed starts and selling produce. And then, with the family aspect being that it is a large family, there's a lot, it gets a lot. It can become a lot. And it can become a lot really fast. And as much as I want to do a live stream, it's one of those things that it would just be me rambling or trying to stay awake and not really engaging in the fellowship the way I would like to. If we're going to have these fellowships, I want them to be engaging. I want there to be conversation. I want there to be fellowship. So if you ever see that I did not put up a live stream, usually what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try to put up a live stream by, Friday morning, 6-day morning, by 10. I'll say by noon. If you don't see one, 5th day or 6th day, there is a chance I might do one. It's just I don't want to make the promise anymore of we're going to be doing a live stream every week because it's hard now. It's a lot harder now. Brother Moshe, Shabbat Shalom. Let me get my Shabbat Shalom in. Brother Gary, Shabbat Shalom. Brother AB, Shabbat Shalom. Brother Justin Monroe, my brother, Shabbat Shalom. Dun, Shabbat Shalom, brother. Rapaholic, Shabbat shalom, bro. Bro, Daryl Vic, Shabbat shalom, brother. Shabbat shalom. Hallelujah. Well, I think we should get started. Now, I have a question. I have a question. Well, wait, no, I'm going to get started, and I'm gonna hold to my word, and I'm going to get started at the 15-minute mark. So I got 4 more minutes. Well, technically not 3 minutes and 46, 45, 44 seconds. Then we're going to get into the topic. I'm going to do what I usually like to do. I don't plan on being long, but there's a chance that this one might be a 3-hour plus live stream as we just dive into these topics. And for those that don't know, years ago when I started this channel, probably 11, 12 years ago, somewhere around there. But I really started hitting the live stream portion, I'd say the past, 6, 7 years. Yeah, somewhere around there, 6, 7 years. And I became a lot more serious the last 2, 3 years. And in these live streams, the one thing that we don't do is church. So if you're looking for a churchy atmosphere, this is not the stream. We have dialogue, we have conversation, and we talk. And I think that is the appropriate way to have a fellowship. That is an appropriate way to have a real brotherhood, a real conversation. Most churches is weird. You go there, you sit there, you listen to what the pastor spoon feeds you, and then you walk out. And in reality, all you did was go to a theology school, basically. That's all you basically did. You just went to theology school and listened to a man who may have appointed himself, may have been appointed by another man, tell you what he perceives the Bible to say. But notice one thing. He always has to give you the Bible in a way that benefits him. Because a lot of these pastors today, their career choice is to be a pastor. And I've oftentimes had questions about that. Because if your career choice is a pastor, and I'm asking this question, if your career choice is and I'm doing this in quotation marks, pastor, how do you rest on the 7th day? Anybody? Can somebody give me an answer to that one? Can somebody help me out with that one? If your career choice is a pastor, then wouldn't you actually be working on Shabbat and doing your job? Anybody? Anybody in the chat got something to say about that? I was thinking about that. Because even in the Bible, Yahshua was a carpenter. Paul was a tent maker, or was a ship maker. Men in the Bible had actual occupations. And they didn't turn their ministry into the money maker that we have today. So when the Bible says 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath day, Yahweh the Elohim, in it you should do no work. But if your job is I'm a pastor, if your job, if your occupation, when you fill out, something and it says occupation, pastor, then aren't you working on the Shabbat?
You're getting a salary.
Yeah, my daughter just said you're getting a salary. You're actually collecting tithes and offerings to pay your salary. You pay your salary by what you actually collect on the Sabbath. Does anybody not find that interesting, suspicious, maybe even? Maybe there's been an extreme bastardization of what Yah actually wanted for us as far as people that helped us and taught things. I've always just found that stuff interesting. So on a Shabbat, we have the memorials, and there's no servile work memorials. So if your occupation is a pastor, then that would mean that on Shabbat, you're actually working and you're actually collecting your salary on Shabbat. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me who wonders these things. These are the things that I think about, that I wonder about. Like, that sounds mighty fishy. And then they'll say, well, Yeshua was, he taught on the Sabbath, but he was a carpenter. The Bible clearly tells us that. Well, Paul, well, the Bible says he was a tent maker. It clearly says that he had an occupation. I never thought about that, but I suppose so. A career choice assumes receiving a payment often. So to claim pastor as a career would be a job on Shabbat. Brother Daryl, you said it perfectly. If your career path, if your occupation, if your job is pastor, that means that on Shabbat you're actually working, which does away with the whole idea that, it's a day of rest. A Christian pastor's job is to teach the systemic breaking of Torah. Why would working on Shabbat be? Because there you go, Brother Gary. There you go. Brother Gary said it perfectly. See, but the other thing, Brother Gary, is in the Torah movement, we have people whose jobs are pastors. Like, I'm a pastor. No, like what do you do for income? I pastor. I'm a pastor. Like, so your job is a pastor, yes. So if your job is a pastor, then on Shabbat, you're actually working and collecting your paycheck, all on Shabbat. You're literally collecting your paycheck on Shabbat. Nobody finds that interesting? Nobody finds that kind of confusing, at least? At least. See, and if you took the salary out of pastors, how many would still be pastors? That's another question. How many of these so-called church leaders, mores in the church, how many of them would still continue to do it if they weren't getting paid by the tithes and the offerings? How many would keep doing it? Dun said 0. Right, bro. They would quit. They would quit. They would step out, and then because they'd realize they have to go get a job. You see, and that's one of the reasons why I do the live stream the way it is. You don't see ads. You don't see, it's not monetized in any way. I can't monetize. Well, I could monetize it. I have every right as far as YouTube is to monetize it. But that song that I played in the beginning, that's somebody else's song. And I asked him, can I use the song for the intro? Yes. He can monetize my videos, and he would get every dime from the live streams. But I don't monetize my video, not my live streams. But it always makes me wonder, this big push, in the movement to keep the Shabbat holy, knowing that so many of these people, their actual work is on Shabbat. Their actual occupation starts on Shabbat. Their actual job starts on Shabbat. I find that interesting. Just more questions that I continually have as I study this book, as the Most High opens up my eyes and continues to, hey, come out of her, my people, separate yourself, because these things that you're looking at, these things that you're watching, these so-called ministries and these pastors that get up on stage, and whether it be Torah, whether it be Christianity, these men that get up there, they're collecting their salary on the Shabbat. This is how they get paid. So much for not working on the Shabbat, then, huh? Another question as we go into this topic of cooking on the Shabbat, is it commandment or is it tradition? I'll let you know, for one, I do not cook on Shabbat, but I am also a person that studies to see if what I even believe is so. I study to see if what I think is even right. See, a lot of people assume that what they believe is right, and most of what they believe is taught to them by somebody else. Then you find out these people are wrong, but you keep their beliefs. Dun's already on it. Dun's already on it. See, and I'm not here to try and convince anyone, but what I am here to do is ask questions and present information out there so that people can actually sit down grab their Bibles and actually read what the book says, opposed to the Seventh-day Adventist Church does it this way, or the Pentecostal Seventh-day Pentecostals do it this way, or the Hebrew Israelite Hebrew roots do it this way. I also want to let everybody know I am not any of these religious flavors, and that's going to upset some people. I am not a Christian. I am not a Hebrew Israelite. Wait. What do you mean, brother? I'm going to ask a question, okay? Okay. Can I ask a question to everybody in the chat? If I can ask a question, can you please type in 1 in the chat, just so I know that I have your permission to ask this question before you blow up? How are you going to say that? I'm just going to ask a question. Just going to ask a question. And because I'm allowed to think, I am allowed to think, I'm allowed to read and think. I did not know that thinking was so contrary to what people feel today. All right, we got some ones. Can somebody tell me in the Bible or show me in the Bible where the religion of Hebrew Israelites exists? Show me that. I can show you where there are Hebrews and there are Israelites. I can show you that. I believe that I am a Hebrew and I'm an Israelite. But when you put that together, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Can somebody show me that one? And it's sad because Christians can come out and say, the word Christian is actually in the Bible. Now, I know what it means. You know what it means. It means follower of Messiah. But they can actually show you where Christians is actually, that word is actually in the Bible. I have been tearing this book apart and I have not found the Hebrew Israelites in the Bible. I haven't found that. I have not found that term. And when you actually look at all of these different sects, these different groups that you see today, what you're noticing, Brother Gary, we're gonna go to Exodus 16. We're gonna go to Exodus 16 because I think that a lot of people take that verse and say it implies cooking, but if you read that whole section, about seethe what you may seethe, it's only referring to manna. It's not even mention the quail. It's only referring to manna. So that's why we're going to dive into it. And we're going to read somebody else's writing. She did an excellent job of writing it up. But I like posing these thoughts because every time when as I walk through this world and serve Yah, there's always that attempt to label me something. And I'll tell people, oh, I'm an Israelite. Oh, you're a Hebrew Israelite. No, I'm an Israelite. Oh, so is that a Christian? So you're one of those? No, I'm not a religion. I'm trying to, because all these groups are religious. I was sitting there doing all the groups. You have your traditional Hebrew Israelite religion. They have their own religion. When you see the guys with the IUIC, the ISUPKs, that's a religion. That's the religion of that group. And then they have their own different denominations. And then you have when I look at Straightway is its own religion as a whole. It's its own little religion over there. Straightway has their own way of doing things. It's half Pentecostal, half Torah, you can't have half. It's like 33% Pentecostalism, 33% Torah, Hebrew roots, 33% traditional Christianity, all mixed in to make one nice little fluffy ball of religion. So as I continue to look around, all I'm seeing are religious groups. That's all I'm witnessing. And then depending on which group you associate with, that's where your membership lies. So are you a Christian? And then you go in Christianity. Okay, so are you an Apostolic, Pentecostal, Lutheran, Calvin, Seventh-day Adventist, Baptist, Seventh-day Baptist? What are you fit? Why can't I just read the Bible? When did reading the Bible and saying I am a believer, I am an Israelite, I am a Hebrew, when did that become a problem? Why does it have to be I fit into one of these groups, or I fit in because of my skin color, or I fit in because of, why can't I just be? Never understood it. Never understood it. Another question. Do you have to understand the culture of the Bible to keep the commandments? I asked somebody this question. They kind of looked at me like, damn. That's a good brother. That's a good question, Brother Chris. Do you have to understand the culture of the Bible to keep the commandments? And if we can, brothers, can we get like a simple yes or no question? I know it always drives us to try and explain, well, yes, but, or no, but. Can we just get an answer? Do you have to understand the culture of the Bible of that time to keep the commandments? Anybody gonna take on that question? Anybody want to throw an answer in there? Dun said no. Brother Moshe said no. Brother Justin said no. Brother Daryl Vick, you hit it right there, brother. Hebrews 1:27, which talks about pure religion, doesn't even tie it to a denomination. It refers to it as a way of living for Yah. Absolutely. No, keeping the commandments helps you understand the culture. That's a good answer, brother. That's a good answer. I like that answer a lot. Because what I've noticed is a lot of people push the culture over the commandments. When it says in Ecclesiastes, here's the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yah and keep his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. This is the whole duty of man. Now, question. Can anybody show me in the Bible where it says you cannot cook on the Shabbat? And I'm a person that I don't cook on the Shabbat, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. Can anybody show me? Because Yah's there, he says, thou shalt not kill. He says, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? Can anybody show me where he says, thou shalt not cook on the Shabbat? Anywhere. Dun said it right there. What people will oftentimes do is they'll say, go read this account over here. No. I want you to tell me, where does he say thou shalt not cook on Shabbat? Just like people refer to in the feast days where it says, thou shalt do no, you shall do no servile work. Okay, we read that. No servile work on the feast days. Does that say that you can cook on those feast days? No, we assume you can cook on those feast days. But do you read unless I'm mistaken, do you read in the law where it specifically says you can cook on the feast days? So my question is if we don't have these things, then we have to sit down and ask ourselves where these beliefs come from. I was doing some reading, and there is a book that I came across. It's called the Mishnah Shabbat, and it's 7:2. And we're going to read into that. It's the Jewish Mishnah, and they broke down 40 tenets that would be considered work according to their religion, and they broke down what they felt work consisted of on the Shabbat. So if you do these things, you're working. But my question is, we always go to Exodus 16 and say, this account right here, yes, the Bible says you shall not kindle a fire in your dwellings. That's a conversation also. What's kindling a fire? What, according to Torah, is lighting a stove kindling a fire? Is turning on an oven kindling a fire? Is flicking a big lighter kindling a fire? And then in some Jewish sects, they say you can't even add wood to an existing fire because that's kindling the fire. So you can get the fire going up until Shabbat. When Shabbat starts, you don't add any other wood to that fire. That fire is to sit, and you can pack the stove up right before Shabbat starts, but you are not to add any more wood. So there's different sects. Starting a fire, yes, yes, and yes. So, Sister Peaches, bless you, sister. If I'm correct, you're saying that starting a stove is kindling a fire. So then some people go further. Is turning on a light kindling a fire? Because it's getting into a car kindling a fire because you have combustion. For those that know how a car works, you have air. I'll make the fastest way possible. Air, fuel, and the spark causes an explosion within the chamber, which gets your car going. There's the fastest way I'm going to say it. Okay, yes. So she's saying that those are kindling fires. Well, some people look at it and they say, that's not kindling a fire, because I'm not kindling a fire in the biblical days was literal work. Brother AB, that's the question I had. In the winter. Yes.
Did they gather sticks, and then how did they start fire? Like, they don't have lighters.
They didn't have lighters back then. They had to strike. Yeah, they would strike rocks or make bow drills to start fires. So that was actually work. But today it's just a lighter and what? We actually even have accelerants today. You can pour some gas in the ground or some lighter fluid, and woo, you have a fire. So that's why we're going to dive into this, because that verse is oftentimes brought up. Oh, the Bible says don't kindle a fire on Shabbat. Well, my question is so does that put everything that causes? Wait. Is warming up food in a microwave kindling a fire if you're going to go that way? But hey, Brother Daryl, that's why I said some Jewish sects, they say like you can't turn on your lights. You can't turn on your lights. You can't go into so I'm like, so then fellowship's out because I can't get into my car and combust the fuel in my car because I'd be kindling a fire. So I'm stuck. But then some will say, well, no, you can get in your car and drive, but you can't start your oven. I'm like, what? I am so confused. So are we kind of like picking and choosing which kindlings we can do? Can I turn on my lights? There's a combustion process in that. Some Jewish sects even say you cannot complete a circuit on Shabbat.
Master, maybe why it's not in there is because it depends on the time, and y'all already knew that. Times are going to change. You have to kindle fires like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's not in the law about that. You just no work. So
yeah.
Depending on what work is for you.
Yeah. We're going to hit on what Ebony's talking about right here. We're going to hit on that. And I like what Dun said. If you want to have commandments of men, fine. But when you misinterpret the scriptures and make your commandments of men law, that's an issue. Very brave of you to bring this out, bro. Bless you, brother. Bless you, bro.
Is it similar to the feast days?
Yeah. It's a similar questions I have, like when it comes to feast days. Like, we talked about that in the stream already 7 months ago. It's just the questions that I have. Because I'll say this, it's more work on Shabbat to literally get in your car, get your family in the car, drive to Shabbat service, that's more work than me flicking a big lighter to stay warm. You get what I'm saying? How much is it take to actually, if you pre-prepared your fire, which is what we do. Some people are about to be mad. I actually flick a big lighter and apply it to some soaked cardboard and oil and start a fire in Shabbat. Oh my gosh! You're breaking the Shabbat. You're starting a fire. You're starting a fire in Shabbat. So what am I supposed to do when I'm freezing? But Brother Gary, that is what I was about to go into that a little bit later, but I came to that same conclusion. I did a deep study and listened to some other people that did some deeper studies on even the Hebrew that was used. I researched some older Bibles, and from what I understand, the reference was you're kindling a fire for work-based applications. Just like the man carrying sticks. Why did he get put to death? I was talking with Brother Rich, and he was saying, it's interesting that Moses, the law, that story left out why he got put to death. He gathered sticks and then died. And it's like, but why did he gather the sticks? Why? Brother Gary said it had nothing to do with heating or food prep. That's the conclusion that I have come up with. That verse has nothing to do with heating or food prep. It has everything to do with you are kindling a fire for some work-related application. Any work-related application. Don't kindle that fire. Don't work. Don't keep that fire going so that you can work after Shabbat. And that's where Dun said, a lot of what I've learned in this faith is a lot of people use traditions and they apply the traditions across the board, and then they become judges of others because of their convictions or their traditions. That is a grave mistake. The Deuteronomy chapter 4 talks about that. Don't add to or take away. Just don't. If you don't agree with something or you don't believe you should do something, that is absolutely fine. You shouldn't do it then. If you believe it is sin, you shouldn't do it. But unless you can point me to a verse that says, thou shalt not cook on Shabbat, then we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem. Because Yah's going to judge us on what? The law. Brother Gary said, we heat with wood as well. We lay the fire prior to Shabbat. Yes, sir. A flick of a bick is all that's necessary to get it going after the temps drop. Yes, sir, brother. Yes, sir. The fire's pre-prepped. It's ready to go. Our wood that we're going to burn for Shabbat is already in the house, right next to the stove. It's just as simple as when that wood burns out, you grab another log, you throw it in there. I know it's hard when I have these discussions with some people. And this is not any reference to anybody in this chat. This is the people outside of the chat. Whenever I get into Torah-based conversations with people, it's always interesting because it's an inevitable fact that a person's personal belief is going to leak into the conversation. And then they'll communicate their personal belief as if it's law. And they get so upset when I tell them, well, brother, you should do that then. If that's what you believe, you should do that. Absolutely. That's not a law, though. That's not a law. Show me the law. That's all I'm asking. And then they'll go into with the spirit of the law, like, bro, stop. If I give this Bible to somebody, if I give this book to somebody, and they start reading it, are they going to come up to the same conclusions that you come up with? Probably not. Are they going to come up to the same conclusions that I come up with? Probably not. They're going to read the book. If they didn't have any knowledge, any prior knowledge, if they didn't have YouTube, where they were going to go and look at what this teacher said and what this teacher said and what this teacher said, if they just picked up the Bible and started reading it and doing it, they're probably not going to do what we do. And there's a reason for that. I think in a lot of ways it's because they may not have ever heard these traditions of men. Think about that, brothers. You grab a Bible, you start reading, and imagine you never heard a single tradition of men. So you're literally relying on the words of the Bible and the Most High himself. You really believe he's going to communicate to you what the book says, or bring you through the Holy Spirit an understanding of the words that are said in that book. Comparative to how we are today, where we jump on the internet and we look for somebody else to explain to us what the Bible says. You notice that in a lot of cases, Yah and prayer is actually one of the last things that we actually do when we're seeking for something. One of the first things that we do is we jump on the internet and see what somebody else said. And we don't actually pray about it. We actually, seeking Yah's face is one of the last things that we do. Because that's scary, to be honest. Asking Yah is scary. So we're going to go to this post, and I want to read what this lady said in her argument on cooking. And again, I want to explain it again. I don't cook on Shabbat. When I posted when I shared this on Facebook, a lot of different people came with. It was an excellent conversation that I was able to have with other brothers and other sisters on where they stand, and I couldn't judge any of them. I was unable to say you're in sin, so I shut my mouth and I said, you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you. So when somebody said I cook on the Shabbat, I agree with you. Or I don't cook on Shabbat, I agree with you too. Why? How do you agree with both people? Easy, by saying I agree with you. So do you think they're wrong? No, I can't just come to you and tell you you're wrong. Based off of what? Too many of us have these ideas of what we think is right or wrong, and yet we can't go to the Bible and point it out. We'll go to a verse that we've misconstrued, and then we've judged people on this. We've got to be a lot more careful in our judgments. Dun said, nope, there's nothing wrong with it. Someone come out and say, he's wrong and wicked. I had a sister who made a comment, wonderful sister, married sister in the faith, say she cooks on Shabbat, but she doesn't ever share that because of the attacks that she gets from everybody else. She gets attacked. Anytime she posts something, she gets attacked. And that's what the faith has become. If you disagree with me, I need to attack you. I'm going to call you a Jezebel. I'm going to call you wicked. Your husband's an Ahab. And I'm like, you know nothing of these people, and yet you've already judged her as Jezebel and him as Ahab. That's wickedness. That happens all the time. All the time. So let me read this. This is from a woman, Lindsey Griffin. Chris, what you just said about just picking up the Bible and reading it for yourself and depending on Yah leads me to this question. I know this is off topic, but how do you explain a verse in... Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, Sister Peaches, I don't think you judge anybody. Sister Peaches, you are... what I was saying had nothing to do with you, sister. You've already shown, who you are, your character. Nothing that I said was a reference to you, sis. And I apologize if it came across that way. Nothing that I said was a reference to you. Romans 10, where it says, how can you hear without a preacher, and how can he preach except he be sent? Woo! I have a study I've done on that one. I have a study in which I have done on that one. Essentially, brother. Okay, bless you, sis. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I don't know how to make this short. oftentimes, one of the things that I started to do when I read verses in the Bible, and this is where Brother Gary, I believe it was Brother Gary who said, having an understanding of these things can better assist you. Having an understanding of culture. When I read that verse, my first question is this, brother. Wait. That said, what's crazy is I don't cook on Shabbat either, but it doesn't mean I believe that it's law. There you go, brother. There you go. I don't cook on Shabbat, but yet I don't believe it's law. I can have a personal conviction where I say, I'm convicted in that area, but it is foolish for me to go there and say, you shouldn't cook on Shabbat. And when somebody says, show me the law, because you said you're striving to keep Torah, right? Yes. Show me the law. Well, put your finger here and then go over here and then see. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Brother Gary said, yep, brother Daryl, Brother Gary said right there. Here's another thing. I asked myself, Brother Daryl, so what Paul told the Romans, did he tell the church of Ephesus that also? Does anybody see in a church in Paul's speech to the Ephesians or the church of Thessalonica or to the church in Philippi or the church in Corinth, did he say those words to any of those churches? Or was it just the church of Rome? Remember, these are letters. And Paul is writing to the leaders in Rome, and he says that in reference to the leaders in Rome. But do we see those words to any of the other churches? I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that question. Do you see anywhere where he makes a reference to how can you hear without a preacher, and how can you and how can he preach unless he be sent? Do you see any reference to that to the church of Ephesus, Galatia? Because I asked that question, I did a study on that question because somebody asked me that. Like, brother, he says this in there you go. No, there were some things he said solely to the individual groups. So my question was this. And in Rome, what system was in place that the people in Rome probably needed to hear from somebody else? Was it the Roman culture and the Greek culture, the two strong, dominant cultures? Imagine living in Rome, seeing all their golden statues and seeing all their things. And then if you read the book of Josephus, you'll see that Josephus was actually a traitor. He actually betrayed the Israelites, and he actually joined Rome and wrote a lot of stuff in Rome's behalf to Israel. Go ahead and read the story about Josephus when he goes into the cave. Look up the Josephus equation. It's an equation that Josephus came up with that would allow everyone to be killed in that cave except for him and somebody else. Read it. It's for those who are who like math. You've probably heard of it, but it's a very interesting equation that comes up with, it's on Wiki. It's a popular equation in mathematics on how to do something in particular. Please look it up. Very interesting. Very interesting. So we know that Rome probably had a lot of people, a lot of Israelites that they were convincing to speak to the people. We see that same story in the Maccabees, where was it Antiochus? King Antiochus was telling the Greek king was basically hiring Israelites to convince other Israelites to serve the king, to serve his ways. So what you probably had at that time, from what I was studying, is you had a very strong Roman dominant culture and the Roman dominant ways. And there were probably a lot of people that were convinced to sell out their own people. Look at that. Look what Brother Gary said. The Romans actually appointed the temple priests. Look at that. And we know the relationship between Rome and the Jewish sects at the time, because when they went to crucify Yeshua, Rome was like, hey, you go do your thing, y'all. You do your thing. I'm washing my hands of this mess. Like, So we know that Rome had a dominating influence. Now imagine trying to hear the word of Yah. Like, think about how bad it is today with modern westernized Christianity, which we all know came from, where did modern Christianity come from? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Where did modern Christianity come from? Modern westernized Christianity. There, Brother Gary said it right there. The Roman Catholics, Roman Catholicism is where modern day Christianity comes from. Again, there's that Roman part. So we see how strong the culture of Rome is, and we see how strong the culture of Rome is today and now, even in this country. Now, here's the question. When I came to the faith, I didn't hear a preacher. I was just studying with another brother. We were just studying. And there were just certain things that we couldn't get over. Now, did coming and in fact, me going to a preacher actually is what almost cost me my faith. Because that preacher was ran by Rome. The ministry that I was part of is a Roman ministry. It's ran by Roman Christian ideologies. But once I came around some other brothers, like y'all here, Brother Gary, Brother David, Brother Rich, I was able to grow. So while I don't call them, Brother Gary wouldn't call himself a preacher, Brother David wouldn't call himself a preacher, Brother Rich wouldn't call himself a preacher. Yeah, all of y'all are older than me. Being able to be around other brothers that clearly are sent as brothers help iron sharpen iron. So while there's not a direct correlation to, okay, these guys are preachers, I still believe that these men that I have been able to fellowship with, talk to, were sent just as brothers. Just as brothers. But imagine living in a system at the time, that Roman system, where they were, I mean, you might walk down the street and see people hanging and burning on a cross, on the side of a street. You're watching this dominant culture go throughout the world and just dominate people. And you're listening to men, just like this in times of slavery. You had those slaves that, were propped up and talked to the other slaves. Guys, just stop. Get that idea of running away out of your heads. So they probably needed somebody that was going to come to them and get rid of the Roman influence, Roman culture of the Bible. The Bible was probably, I wouldn't be surprised if Rome even allowed certain people to preach the book, but with an extreme Roman slant to it. Preach it in a way that benefited Rome. Just like preachers today preach the Bible that benefits themselves. So do I believe that a person needs to hear a preacher? I don't know. I mean, I can't answer that question for everybody. How many of you believe that your growth in Yah depends on you hearing a preacher? There you go. Who said that? Rapaholic said it. We are a kingdom of priests. So every believer and keeper of Torah can teach another brother something. Absolutely, Rapaholic. That's what I believe in my heart of hearts. Our iron sharpens iron. So every one of us is going to be able to help another brother, and we should be willing to be helped. So essentially, Central Kentucky Prepper, Shabbat Shalom, bro. Yes, sir. So in a sense, all of us preach to each other nowadays. Think about it. All of us actually preach to one another. It doesn't mean that we have a pastor, but Another word for preaching, it could be discussion. How many of us have discussions with each other? How many of us get on the phone with another brother who may have asked us a question, and we give him the oracles of Yah? We tell him what the Torah says and that thing. We answer his question. That's a form of preaching. You may not have had that answer, but iron does sharpen iron. And we do all communicate with each other and talk to each other. Like I said, I've learned an unbelievable amount of information from my brothers. But I think what's happened is Christianity has taken that verse to mean you need a pastor to tell you what the Bible says. It says a preacher. And how can he preach unless he be sent? Hey, brothers, are y'all sent? I mean, let's answer that question. How many of you believe that you were sent to help others, to talk to others, to preach the gospel? I'm not talking about church now. Get the idea of church out of your head. How many of you were sent to give the word of Yah to others? It may just be your family. It may just be your family. Does that mean you're not preaching? Uh-oh. Let me see. And then we're gonna yeah. I'll dive into that in another live stream. I was starting to dive into my notes, and I was like, that's a lot. But I just want to put that out there that well, from my studies, we see the word preacher as if it's this office that you attain, and then you become a preacher, and now you are qualified to preach. Instead of, we are all called to do these things. And yes, there are certain things that I needed to hear from someone else. I prayed to Yah about it. And it may not have even been a brother who was preaching. It may have been a brother just having a conversation with somebody else, and I overheard it. And I was like, huh. Just like what I'm about to read right here, some people would call this preaching. Now, she's not a preacher, obviously. This woman's not a preacher, but she's giving information that it is still helpful. There you go, Brother Gary said it. We should be both students and teachers. Yes. We are the student to some and the teacher of others. A lot of the pastors out here today have no idea what they speak of. Peaches is telling the truth. A lot of these pastors, they will sit up there for 2 hours and preach and have no clue what they're talking about, just like Sis said. No clue what they're talking about. And they always make sure that they stand far enough away where you can't ask them questions. If you have questions, come into their study so that they can light you up or tell you, hey, that question is not for us right now. So I'm going to read this post. One of the most, now this is a post that I'm reading. This is not my words, this is her words, posted on June 3rd at 8:07 a.m. It looks like she is a Torah keeper. But it's a wonderful post. Please listen to the words. One of the most common teachings about how to keep the Shabbat holy is that cooking food is considered work and therefore forbidden. That all food must be cooked before the Shabbat begins. The passage most often cited is from Exodus 16. But is that actually what Exodus 16 says? Or are people unknowingly adopting a tradition of men and calling it scripture? Let's look at the text. Again, where in the Bible does it say not to cook on Shabbat? Considering they had cooking back then. In Exodus 16, Yahweh provided manna from heaven and instructed Israel to gather a double portion on the 6th day. Bake what you will bake and boil what you will boil, and all that is left over put aside to be kept until morning. Exodus 16:23. Many people read this verse and conclude that cooking itself is forbidden on the Sabbath. The problem is that the passage is not discussing all food. It is only discussing manna. Earlier in the chapter, we are told that manna could not be kept overnight. There's a key right there. The manna could not be kept overnight. But they did not listen to Moses, and some left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and became foul. Exodus 16:20. The reason Israel was instructed to prepare their manna ahead of time was because it spoiled overnight. Yahweh performed a miracle on the 6th day so that the Sabbath portion would not spoil as it normally would. Oh, who said that right there? Rapaholic said it right there. Have you ever heard a preacher say, I don't know? They usually try to piece something out of thin air. Brother, they sure, and they will bullshit you to the tomb. They will tell you what they believe, what they think, what they feel, and as if it's thus saith Yah. And they'll have you going up and doing something that isn't even in the Bible. The instruction addresses a unique situation involving manna. The text never says, thou shalt not cook on the Shabbat. What about the quail? Something else that is often overlooked is that Israel was not eating manna alone. In the very same chapter, Yahweh also provided quail. So it came about at evening that the quails came up and covered the camp. Exodus 16:13. Yet the instruction to prepare food ahead of time is specifically given in connection with the manna that would otherwise spoil. So he never gave a command to cook the quail before that. It was only the manna. If the purpose of the command was to prohibit all cooking on the Shabbat, we would expect the text to say so plainly. Instead, the discussion remains focused on the unique nature of the manna and its inability to be preserved under normal circumstances. In all other places outside of Exodus 16 that instruct us on how to keep the Sabbath, which are many, none of them includes a universal instruction to cook no food. How did this teaching become so popular? Most people don't read the Torah, find a command saying, you shall cook no food on the Shabbat, and then stop cooking. Instead, many people come out of the churches, begin keeping the Sabbath, and assume that the best way to learn Sabbath observance is to copy modern Jewish practice. The problem is that Scripture repeatedly warns against adding to Yah's commandments. Thou shalt not add to the word which I command you, nor take away from it. Deuteronomy 4:2. And as we all know, Judaism has a really bad habit of adding a ton of extra rules Yah never gives us. This is one of them. The Torah never commands Yah's people to refrain from cooking on the Shabbat. The prohibition comes from later rabbinic tradition, which takes instructions given specifically for manna and applies them to all food preparation. And that is because over time, the rabbis expanded their definition of the word work. What is actually prohibited on Shabbat? The Sabbath command consistently focuses on work. 6 days work may be done, but on the 7th day, there is a Sabbath of complete rest. A holy convocation, you shall do no work. Now, hard stop right there. The question that I then have is, when most people cook on Shabbat, do you just leave your cooking dishes out on the countertop? Brother Gary, yeah. When she said that, brother, I was like, man, that is so. Because we're gonna read the Mishnah on Shabbat, the Sabbath rules. I don't know if it's all Judaism, but there's a Jewish sect. It's a big one apparently, and they added 40 tenets to what is described as work, and you're gonna be amazed at some of this stuff. But when you cook, most people then clean up. Here's the question: if you cook a meal on Shabbat and then wipe off your counters, wipe off your stovetop, what are you working? I would say yes. I would say that. So if you're going off and you're cooking a whole meal, you know what I mean, cooking a whole meal, and now you got oil on the countertops and oil on the the stovetop, and you start bringing out Windex and Pine Sols and now you're sweeping your floor, and now you're spraying your floor to mop because you made a mess. See, that was the thing I looked at and said, huh. See, I see a problem there where something that you're doing could lead you to work on the Shabbat. There you wait, brother Alex. Shabbat shalom, brother Alex. Bless you, bro. Hey, I sent you a text and then it came back to me. Did you change your number? Because I sent you a text and it came back to me. Shabbat shalom. Wait. Dang it. Too many questions. Shabbat shalom. We meal prep mostly because of work that it requires, not cooking. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The work that is required. Man, that's exactly, yes. Been thinking about this a lot lately, and now you're talking about it. Thanks, bro. Hey, bless you, brother Chris F. Shabbat shalom, brother. Is it a question of sanitation or work? That's a great question. And see, and brother Bob Smythe, that's where, see, for me, I don't go and tell other brothers what it is for them. For me, I want to explain this. See, people have this problem when it comes to living this book. For me, cleaning the counters is work. Listen to that again. For me, it is work. Wait a minute. Why do you keep saying that, brother? Because I am not one to go tell somebody else. See, we're so used to church, where you go to church and somebody tells you what it is, and that's what it is. That's how most people see it. For me, I don't have them sweeping up, the flour on the floor because they cooked. Now, when the children eat in this room, will I come in and sweep the stuff to a corner? Yes, I do. I get it off the floor, because why am I going to have them track it all over the house? But mopping and all that stuff, see, that's where I think that people have missed it. We are so far separated from the words of that book, but yet so many people they act like they were there when Yah gave the law. They act like they have the understanding of what everything was meant when Yah gave the law. Not understand, and then they start judging others. They'll start judging others and saying, hey, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. I've had people cut a head of lettuce on Shabbat. People condemned them. I had people that said that on Shabbat, you're only supposed to eat snacks, like carrot sticks and stuff like that. Hey, if that's what you're being told, and if that's what you're convicted of, I have no problem with that. Where the problem comes is where you start preaching your unproven conviction as if it's law. Do not. Wait. I see it this way. My wife's job is to manage the household. This includes cooking. So cooking is part of her job. So, and I've heard that one also. The sister asked me about that one. She asked me about, well, if my job is a homemaker, what do I do? And I asked her, well, do you change your child's diaper on the Shabbat, or do you consider that part of your job? I mean, how? And that's what I'm trying to say. It's for every individual, the head of the house, to make these determinations. So when Brother Gary says that, I agree. I don't have, like I said, we don't cook on Shabbat. We do food prep, and we will warm up food on Shabbat. We make enough so that there's enough for both days. But what I don't do is I don't overstep my bounds into another man's house and start telling him that he's in sin because his conviction is not my conviction. There you go. Who said that? Brother Richard, Shabbat Shalom, brother. Brother Richard said, making rules, bending rules, being wise in their foolishness. Yes. Janaea Sim said the Father did give us common sense. He did. He did. Man, Rapaholic said it right there. Your conviction cannot become another man's restriction. Brother, that's perfect. Your conviction cannot become another man's conviction. And I will say, sis, Yah did give us common sense. He did. But common sense is not common. I mean, there's a lot of things that some people might consider common sense that others don't. Like for me, and this is for me, it's common sense to grow as much food as you can. Other people say, I don't see it that way. Cool. But it's common sense for me. It's common sense for me. I'll say this. For the topic of polygyny, for me, it's common sense that if you don't have a husband, join a house. That's what I look at as common sense. For many, many, many brothers and sisters, that's not common sense. That's stupid. Okay. I'm not arguing with a person about, what they consider or don't consider common sense. Man, Brother Richard. Brother Richard said Babylonian women call it work. Hebrew women call it her duty. Yes. And the Bible doesn't say that your duty ends on Shabbat. If someone tries to hurt my family, I'm gonna be like the Maccabees. I'm drawing swords on the Shabbat. Oh, that's another good question. Bear G. Coffer asked, Shabbat Shalom, FY. Since the Sabbath day commandment was specifically given to the Israelites, wasn't our work agriculture? That's another great question. See, this is what I love about these studies, is because everybody's coming in and having these discussions on this topic, which is a good discussion. Because really, most ideas biblically are probably taught to you based on whatever camp, church, ministry, denomination you're part of. That's where you learn. Very few people have picked up the Bible without the influence of a whisperer into their ear and read and then have the guts to say, I'm reading this and I'm going to do what it says. If it doesn't say this, not only am I not going to do it, or I'm not going to judge another. That's not my job. My job is not to run around just judging people based on my perception. We are supposed to judge based off of what? Brothers, sisters, what are we supposed to judge based off of? Somebody put it in the chat. Torah. Hey, Brother Gary, you said my duty is to protect, which is 24/7. That's 20%. However, my duty is also to provide, which is 24/6. Well, technically, your job is to provide 24/7, but provide what? Food, clothing, and conjugal rights. So technically, your provisions extend into the Sabbath as well, because she has a house over her head, she's got food, and she's got you. So technically, your duty has extended into the Shabbat, because she still has a roof over her head, she still got food, and she still got you. Yes, righteously. And we know righteously is based off of the Torah. That's what righteousness is judged based off of, not my opinion. So when somebody comes and asks me, hey, brother, can I do this? We have so many people that will go out there and give their opinion. Yes, you can. No, you can't. My question is this. What does the book say? What does the book say? And if you read a particular verse and it doesn't say thou shalt not cook, but yet you read that and you say, brother, I think that's talking about cooking. I say, bless you, brother. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, brother. Bless you. Shabbat shalom. And they're like, wait a minute. You're not going to argue with me? No. You want to know why? Because if that's what you're getting from that verse, who am I to say you shouldn't be getting that? Who am I to say that? If that's what you get from that verse, brother, I shouldn't be cooking. That kindling a fire. Now, if you want to study it, let's study it. Because I can show you that's not, the verse is not talking about cooking. I can show you that. But I'm not here to tell. See, we've gotten so gung-ho on judging everything that we've judged so much unrighteously because we feel that way. Feelings is not an indicator of righteous judgment. It's an indicator of you. It's an indicator of you. Brother Chris, you have 2 wives. You're committing adultery. Show me that in the Bible. If you show me that in the Bible, I will get rid of one. Show me that in the Bible. You do know that adultery is based on the status of the woman, right? Not the man. It's the woman. If she's married and I take a married woman, I've committed adultery. No, well, let's go to Corinthians, brother. Judgment is based off of the Torah. You can't judge. And if you go there, I can get you in Corinthians too. Brother Richard said, consider the times of the forefathers. A man had a mat to call his bed. If he was so blessed, a spoon, 1, he carried them. And if not, he used his clean hand. We have a cup. Right. You have to understand the context of things. Feelings will lead you to some very stupid decisions. Torah is a rock solid standard that leads to life. Rock solid. That's why this place is called the Rock. That is true. The father would have been specifically not. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, sis. That is true. Wait, sis or brother? Forgive me. I'm terrible with names, so it could be a sis or a brother. I want to say sis, this is the name, but it could be brother. And if it is brother, forgive me, brother. That is true. The father would have been specifically not to cook on the Shabbat. He was clear in the 10 Commandments and how he wanted things, but you don't see anywhere where he said not. There you go, brother or sis. There you go. He didn't y'all was specific enough in the Torah to say you can have sex with this woman, but can't have sex with this woman. You cannot have sex with your auntie. You cannot have sex with your mama, clearly. You cannot have sex with your father's sister. Okay, sister, bless you, sis. You can't have sex with this person. You can't. He was very specific. And when people get to these points where they're like, well, I feel, but Brother Gary said, it leads you off. Sister, would any of you consider eating sandwiches on the Shabbat? We actually do. We like this Shabbat, we're having haystacks. I learned that from the Seventh Day Adventist Church. We're having haystacks this Shabbat. Everything's pre-cooked. Well, we're just using fish this week, but everything's already made. And tomorrow, all we have to do is bring the stuff out and make the plates. That's all we have to do. But that doesn't mean that I'm doing it right. It doesn't mean I'm doing it right. It doesn't mean that my way is the only way to do it. It's just the way I'm doing it. That's it. Let's continue on what this sister was saying. There is a law about a bird's nest. So he know, right, brother, Rapaholic saying it right there. You notice that when he talks about like the land animals. He's like split hoof, choose the cud. Then he has, he gives you categories. Then when it comes to sea animals, he gives us categories on what is considered food and what is considered not. Then when he goes to birds, he gets very specific. Like he gets specific when it gets to birds. Yah knows how to be specific. Look, read on how he wants the tabernacle built. Tell me that's not specific. Tell me when he's talking about when he told Noah how to build the ark, that wasn't specific. When he talked about how the tabernacle was to be built, he wanted, what he wanted and where and how big it was supposed to be. Yah knows how to be very specific. He is the creator of all things. And then suddenly, when it comes to certain things, we say, oh, he forgot that. He did? He forgot to mention that? Is that what we're saying? We're saying that Yah all of a sudden went brain dead. Yes, very specific in detail. Yes, very specific. Even to the type of material. I mean, he even has in his Torah, do not mix materials. I mean, that's pretty specific. That's a pretty specific law. When you say that, that's a pretty specific law for him to be like, don't mix materials. Yeah, we can't get that one right. We are all trying to resurrect a lost culture. We're all just trying to figure it all out. We should not take ourselves. Oh, Brother Gary, that's exactly it. What Brother Gary said there is, I think, the crux of everything. Stop taking yourself so serious. Understand you are separated. I mean, let's just be real. I know from my life, and I could say for everybody here, I can't speak for you all, but how many of here were born and raised in Torah? If you were born and raised with the correct application of Torah, type in the number 1. If you have or were later on came into the truth in your life, into Torah, into the truth, type in the number 2. So 1s and 2s. 2, if you are a convert, you were in Christianity, or you were in Thug Thizzling, or that was my religion, Thug Thizzling. If you were, I would say for most of us were 2s. We came in at some point. But sometimes, 2015, let's see, me was, wait a minute. Tanisha! I'm terrible with these numbers and dates and all that. Huh? I gotta ask Tanisha. I left that Ebony. Ebony, how long have you been in the faith? Ebony came in the faith when she married me. Tanisha, how long have I been in the faith?
When you first started listening.
When we put down the pork, put down the crab, all that.
Oh, you started that in 2000.
So for me, it's 2010. 2010. So I've only been in it for. Yeah. Wait, what year is this?
226.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Like you didn't know the Israelite part. That was early 2011.
Yeah, the Israelite part was 2011, but the keeping the commandments, that was 2010. So I was 28 years. I had 28 years of doing my own thing before I came to the faith. That's most of our story. The sad thing is that we have people today that literally believe that they understand everything there is in this. Not even close. Not even close. We didn't live it. Not just that, but most of us probably went through. Our ancestors probably went through some form of slavery. Whether you're Irish, your ancestors went through some form of slavery. Scottish, some form of slavery. What the world calls Black or Hebrew, some form. We've all gone through it. All of us have gone through some form of slavery that detached us from any resemblance of even our own cultural truth. So when people try to tell you, "Oh, I know," like, dude, shut up. No, you don't. You just got out of the army. Shut up. No, you don't. It's okay to not know. It's okay to strive. It's okay to seek. It's not okay to act like you have the answers to things that you don't even get. That's not okay. And then to communicate to other people this so-called idea that you have. I mean, even reading the Bible, right here, I have the Aramaic New Testament of the Bible. This book, it explains things in the Renewed Covenant way different than the normal King James does. It also has the ancient Aramaic writings that I can't read. So translate this into English. Many of us may have been just victims of translation errors. Many people today grab these new versions of the Bible that omit verses. We don't know. I don't know. That's why this channel is based on us coming together and dialoguing, because this is what we don't need. A bunch of people sitting up there acting like they know all the answers to everything in life. What we need is iron sharpens iron. And what that means is this, brothers and sisters, you must be iron. You can't be aluminum. Oh, can you show that Bible again? The Aramaic English New Testament. And what I've learned from this Bible, also I have the scriptures version of the Bible. What I've learned from these Bibles is what is written here oftentimes changes the Greek. What we read in our standard King James Bible, it changes a lot of the Greek writings to what was, it's more closely translated. Now, does that mean that I know? No, it does not mean that I know. I'm flawed. You're flawed. We're flawed. And we're all just striving. And as Brother Gary said, when you take yourself too serious, you start to think, as Sister said right there, keep the pride out, you start thinking you have the answers. You have the answers. I have the answers, and I know. You don't know anything. Like, stop, chill, sit. It's okay. It's okay. One of the things that I always do with my own personal beliefs is I always test them. I test them against what other people say, what other people think, what other people believe. Because if I believe something, it should stand. And if it doesn't stand and it falls, then it shouldn't be there. But nothing is worse than having a belief fall, and then what you do is you just rebuild that same belief up again. If you have a belief and Yah is merciful enough that somebody cared enough about you to help you deconstruct that false belief, then he obviously wants you to build something in its stead. That's true. That's right. That's righteous. And the sad fact about a lot of people is that the beliefs that you have aren't even your belief. They're shepherds' belief. They're your pastor's belief. They're your mama, your daddies, your elders, but it ain't your belief. A lot of y'all are just following traditions, other people's beliefs that have been passed down generationally that are wrong. My wife and I call that doubling down on stupid. Love that. Doubling down on stupid. Okay, so let's continue. I want to continue reading what she said. Okay. 6 days you shall live. Now I'm going back to the reading. Wait. Oh, yeah. This is why the Father said, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. I love this verse. My thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways, declares Yahweh. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways. We will never fully know the mysteries. Never. It says in the Apocrypha, in Sirach, be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more is shown unto thee than men understand. More is shown to you than you understand. There's a lot of things. Y'all be surprised when I say this, because you say, wait a minute, you have a channel. There are a lot of things that when I read in the Bible, I'm just like, well, I don't understand that one. And I move on. Some people will be surprised by that. Wait a minute. Brother, you need to toil on it. No. See, there are some things that I understand are above my pay grade. There are things that I understand. There are things that I don't understand. And guess what? I don't try to force myself to understand it. There are certain prophecies, brothers and sisters, that when I read, I'm just like, I have no clue what that's talking about. I still don't know what a will in a will is. Still don't know. But I've had people tell me all sorts of things. I had a brother, one of these so-called Hebrew Israelites, try to tell me, brother, you ever seen like spinners? I was like, dog, for real? Did you just take me back to like 2002 when people had spinners on their caddy? Is that what you're saying? You want me to visualize the Cutlass Supreme with the spinners on it? Nah, bro, I'm just trying to let you know, like, stop. You don't know what it is. It's okay to say you don't know. It's okay to say, I haven't reached that point yet. It's okay to say, I'm still here. I'm still right here. I'm still right here studying and moving on. And I'm going to make sure that I cover every step before I get into the stuff that I don't understand. I want to make sure that I get this part down first. That there, Brother Gary said it right there. There are some things that are a mystery to you now, but will later be revealed to you by Yah. Brother, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And that's what I've experienced, brother. Brother, you said it right there. It's perfect. That's what I've experienced. Some things I'm like, I don't know. It's a mystery. I don't understand it. And as I walk this walk out, as I study and I walk, as I show the faith and I have the works, what ends up happening is like, oh, I get it now. I get it now. I understand this thing now. This thing I didn't understand 5 years ago. I get it now. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. But what happens in this faith is that we all want to jump up to level 10. And we haven't even finished level 1 yet. Oh, wait, leave this. I forgot what. Okay. Rapaholic said, if you trace back most of the beliefs, I have found that a lot of times it leads back straight to Satan. And I mean straight to the feet of Hasatan. There are beliefs that are in the faith today that literally lead straight to the feet of Satan. Straight to the feet of Satan. Bro, Rapaholic, that is on, brother. That is dead on, brother. Brother AB said, you learn until our last day on this earth. What did it say in the Apocrypha? Was it Sirach 3 or 428? Strive for the truth unto death. What does that mean? It means you are going to be striving for what is true until you die. You'll never be where you're at like, well, I know the truth and that's everything. You're always going to be striving for it until you die. I don't truly know what a will within a will is, but I can guarantee it cannot be spinners. Hey, that's the truth, bro. That's the truth. Elk Count, Shabbat Shalom, brother. Shabbat Shalom. So let's continue. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your Elohim. In it you shall do no work. You can't handle the truth. Was that Gene Hackman? No, wait, was it Gene Hackman? Who said that? It was Gene Hackman, right? I love that movie, by the way. Love that movie. It was Gene Hackman. No, wait. Somebody help me out here. Okay, it was Gene Hackman. All right. I was tripping a little bit right there. Gene Hackman. Oh, Jack Nicholson. Yeah, that's what it was. Thank you. Not Gene Hackman. I mean, they're both old. They're both old. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're both old. I'm gonna be a little bit racist, okay? They're both old and white. And when you kind of get to the old and white, you're just kind of like, well, you know, Jack Nicholson, Gene Hackman, Clint Eastwood, you know what I'm saying? You just kind of, it's like if you say old and black, you're like, okay, Morgan Freeman, Sidney Poitier, well, I guess you could include Denzel Washington there now. Denzel Washington, you know what I'm saying? That was such a non-politically correct statement I just made. But I don't quite care to be politically correct. I will be biblically correct, though. At least strive for that. Oh, Forrest Whitaker? Yep, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah, but AB said they all look alike. Elcal said grumpy old white dudes. I guess I could have said Gary Bromlin. Yeah, I just throw him up in the mix. Oh God. Oh God. Okay. All right. So the Hebrew word used is, oh great, y'all know how I Brother Gary said they all look alike. You know what I was getting at, Brother Gary. The Hebrew word is melakah. The word is not describing every physical action a person might perform. It is commonly associated with occupational labor, the kind of work by which a person accomplishes a vocation. Feeding your family is not the same thing as conducting your business. Preparing a meal is not the same thing as pursuing your occupation. Yet many people simply assume that cooking must be classified as work without ever demonstrating that from the text itself. The Sabbath is a feast day. There was another point. Now, again, I didn't write this, she wrote it. There's another point that is often overlooked. In Leviticus 23, the weekly Sabbath is listed alongside all of Yah's appointed times. The Lord's appointed times, which you shall proclaim as holy convocations. My appointed times are these. Leviticus 23:2. The very first appointed time listed is the weekly Sabbath. The Sabbath is not merely a day to stop working. It is a weekly appointment with Yah. It's a weekly feast day. The biblical pattern of feast days includes gathering, fellowshipping, rejoicing, and sharing meals. Nothing in the Torah suggests that Yah's people were expected to observe these appointed times by avoiding all food preparation. Now, my personal notes. There is something that I did see that did bring a question into my mind. Okay, in reference to what she said there. So I went to Leviticus 23 and I did the reading. And the verbiage in Leviticus 23, when in reference to the Sabbath, it says in verse 3, the Sabbath, it says no work. Passover in verse 7 says no servile work. Verse 21, no servile work. Trumpets, no servile work. But then atonement in verse 28, it says no work. So the question that I then had that I'm posing, because I'm hoping that somebody can help me understand it also, is the Sabbath and atonement have the same verbiage, no work, while Passover, I believe it's Pentecost, and is it Pentecost? It was Pentecost, and trumpets, it says no, wait a minute. I missed Tabernacles. I didn't read any further. Tabernacles, we also know you have Shabbats in there, no servile work. So whenever we say no servile work, people always say that means you can cook on those feast days. And I also believe that you can cook on those days also. I also, like I said, I can't say that you can't cook on the Shabbat. I'm not saying that. But what does no servile work mean to you? When you hear the verses, no servile work, for all of us brothers, what does that mean? Sisters, what does that mean? Because the word servile, I looked it up. Well, first, I looked up the word work, and it's the Hebrew word 4399, and it means occupation, work, business, occupation, business. I thought I looked up servile. Apparently, I didn't. I am disappointed in myself. I am disappointed in myself. So Overbus said, what if you're retired? That's a great question. Here's another question I'm going to ask. Think about that one. But here's another question I had. How do people that live in Alaska, because isn't there a city or a place there where they have like 30 days of darkness? Here's my question. Just off the cuff. This is a question I have off the cuff. How do I do Shabbat? How do you do Shabbat when you have 30 days of darkness? Or is that not real? I swore I read that in a National Geographic something or another. And plus there's a movie on it. But how do you do Shabbat how do you do Shabbat when there's 30 days of darkness? That was just an off-the-cuff question. Servile, adjective, describes an attitude or behavior that is excessively submissive, groveling, or eager to please. It implies a lack of spirit, interdependence, or self-respect. I think that's the dictionary definition. I'm gonna have to look up the servile work. Why specify if homestead duties? Are we not to take care of our livestock, help a neighbor get his ox out of a ditch? That's a great question, Brother Richard. Yeah, because on the Shabbat, do you take care of your animals? Wouldn't that be work? That's a great question, Brother Richard. Oh, Brother AB said 6 months of darkness. I was off. I said 30 days. 6 months. Whoa. Okay, Elcount, my beloved brother Elcount said, that's why I go with a set time, 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. for a day. The daylight length changes, but 24 hours doesn't. That's a great observation. Oh, brother Bob Smythe said, what about 30 24-hour days of sunlight? So is there a place that has 30 24-hour days of sunlight? Woo! So brother Richard brought up a great point. So if it says no, sir, because I was asking that question to the family. I was like, for tabernacles, and the Bible says no servile work. Can you sweep out your tent? So if it's no servile work, could I hunt? Like, these are the questions that I was thinking about when I was reading this. Like that word servile, if it's things that are related to your occupation, then does that mean that you can do things that are not related to your occupation but are work? But AB said, you can take care of your animals. I know brothers who work feeding and cleaning the area up on the Shabbat. We feed our animals on Shabbat. We feed our animals. But here's the funny thing, though. Our animals, which is, this is why I like having these discussions, brothers and sisters. Iron sharpens iron. Our homestead is our job. That is one of them. Our homestead is our job, right? So is feeding your animals work? Hunting is food gathering. I would see that as work. Okay, but see, on the feast day it says no servile work. So if it's, it has 6 months of darkness and 6 months of light. What? How do you do the Sabbath? Please tell me that. Someone help me. I need help. They have 6 in Alaska.
That's a year. Your 6 was a dark.
So how do you do Shabbat? Yeah, you would have to. What El Count said, you'd have to go off the time. Working them days are different than this westernized work today. What is defined as work? Excellent. That's excellent. That is an excellent point. I guess at that time, see, the Torah was written, nobody lived in Alaska. And I think that's the whole point of the scattering. When you get scattered, you're going to end up everywhere where things are just going to be different. So somebody's going to end up in Alaska and ask that question like, how the F do I do Shabbat when it's never ending darkness and then there's never any light?
Maybe gross up there?
Not during the darkness time.
God, mess up?
Yeah. Our modern thought behind word work is messed up. I agree, Elcount. It used to be earning income, but today we think the word work is anything requiring effort. Yes, Elcount, you get a star. That is what, brother, what you said, and then what the sister said about what is work. Those are the questions that I had. Then what you said is, I think, the answer. We don't understand what work is comparative to their context. Today, we think anything that requires effort is work. We think anything that required, back then, work was to provide an income, money. So when I look up the word work again, actually, I'll look it up right now, brothers. Give me a second. Yes, I think everything biblical is geographically to the Middle East. Yes. Brother Elkan, I agree again. But Elkan said everything geographically was in the Middle East. So even our scatterings were kind of in those general areas. Babylon and the Greeks, the Romans, it was in those general areas. Torah is all focused on Brother Gary, come on now. We are talking about syllables, bro. 1 to 2 at most. Come on now. You gotta break. I need a little hyphen. Torah is all focused on Ha-Aretz, the land. We are currently dispersed due to our forefathers' sins. Yes. Which, if you have that understanding that we are dispersed because of our father's sins, there's going to be a lot of things that we don't necessarily get. Here we are in America talking about, like there's a group in Tennessee. Someone sent me a clip of this man in Tennessee, in Lafayette, Tennessee, talking about Yah placed his name in Lafayette, Tennessee, and said that the men need to appear on his land 3 times a year. This man just called his community Jerusalem. I mean, come on now. Does anybody not see the problem with that? Yeah, we need to appear before y'all 3 times here in Lafayette, Tennessee, men. Like, come on. Go, Elcount. Yeah, they sent me a clip that the men are supposed to appear on his land 3 times a year. 3 times a year with their offerings, of course. So he just called his land the promised land. He just called his land with no temple or nothing. No temple, no nothing. I was like, I'll be. Woo! I digress. Let me find that verse. Let me find that verse. We're gonna go to Leviticus 23. We'll start at verse 1. And then we're going to do King James Version. All right. 6 days shall work. We're going to go there. We're going to go there. All right. The word work is maleka or melaka. The Brown Drivers Briggs definition is occupation, work, business. Occupation, business, property, work, something done or made, workmanship, service, use, public business, political, religious. The Strong's definition is, thank you, bud. Thank you. The Strong's definition is dutyship. Oh, wait, no. Deputyship. That is ministry, generally employment or work. Employment, never servile. Also property as a result of labor, business, cattle, industrious, occupation. Officer, thing, use, work. So, with that definition, the question is that still doesn't explain what is work. If work is your occupation, then do we understand today work the way they understood it back then? That puts a better understanding of the guy that was collecting sticks or not kindling a fire. It sounds like that would be related to work related, because work actually was your occupation. Wait, I didn't see Rapaholic. What do you say? That is also from Judaism. I would say to view all effort as work. Yes. Yes. In fact, let's go there. I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to go. So now we're going to the Mishnah. The Mishnah. It says Mishnah Shabbat 7:2:1. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. So this is now you're going to see the Jewish slant, how they inputted a actual definition of what they consider work to be. Listen to this. The Mishnah lists the 39 primary labors. As can be easily seen, there are 3 main lists in the Mishnah. The work involved in breaking bread, the work involved in making clothing, the work involved in writing. So this is what their rules are. These are the first 3 lists. The 4th section contains 6 more labors that are also prohibited, but do not easily fit into other lists. The Talmud, so you know, this is not Torah now, y'all. We're not talking Torah, but you're going to understand, listen to this list, and you're going to see how a lot of this Talmudic ideas have come into the faith and are now being used as this is what work is, defined by Talmud, the Talmud, and the people that believe in this. The Talmud states that those labors were all learned from the juxtaposition of the laws of building the tabernacle with the prohibition of work on Shabbat, Exodus 35:31. Since the Torah had no state not to break Shabbat, listen to this. Since the Torah had to state not to break Shabbat to build the temple, it must be that any work which was done in building the temple is prohibited on Shabbat. This is their ideology. Oh, yeah. Brother Darrell, yep. Yes, that's exactly it, brother. That's exactly it. Much of the rest of the tractate will explain these labors, so we will be brief here. The primary labors are 40 less 1. Sowing, plowing, reaping, binding sheaves, threshing, winnowing, selecting, grinding, sifting, kneading, baking. So we can see that through the Talmud, they brought up the idea, they believe that baking, kneading, and sifting is work. But that's based on the Talmud now. These are the labors involved in making bread from the beginning to the very end. Personally, okay, we're not talking about personal. Okay, shearing wool, bleaching, hackling, dyeing, spinning, weaving, the making of 2 loops. What if you only made 1 loop? I digress. The making of 2 loops, weaving 2 threads, dividing 2 threads, tying and untying. So if your shoe comes out, you're effed. You gotta go the rest of Shabbat with your shoelaces is flapping. That pisses me off. Sewing 2 stitches, tearing in order to sew 2 stitches. Okay? Building, tearing down, extinguishing, kindling, striking with a hammer. Carrying out from one domain to another. So you cannot carry, according to them, you cannot carry something out of your house to another person's house on Shabbat. These are the 40 primary labors minus 1. Carrying from one domain to another is a labor unlike any of the others, for instead of altering the nature of an object, it alters its location. Did y'all hear that? Don't you find it interesting that they created this list? They also stated another general principle. Whatever is fit to store, and people generally store things like it, and one carries out on Shabbat, he is liable for a sin offering on its account. But whatever is not fit to store, and people do not generally store things like it, and one carries it out on Shabbat, only he that stores it is liable. A person is only obligated for carrying something from one domain to another if the object which she carries is one that is important enough that people store it and guard it. The object has to be one put to see or to use by people. For instance, keys are something that people are generally careful about, whereas a pebble is not. It also has to be of the size that people are generally careful with and will store. Do you see this stuff? Now, Yah's Torah says, thou shalt do no work. Then you got this stuff. Brother Richard said it. He says, my laws are not grievous. That's something you should think about. His laws, Yah's laws, are not grievous. They should not bring grief. They don't bring grief. That's why I asked the question. What is work? What people say, what can you do on Shabbat? Or I'm still waiting for somebody to present you cannot cook on Shabbat. Again, I don't cook and I don't plan on cooking. But before you run off and judge somebody saying they're breaking the Sabbath, are they?
So, a lot of definitions changed now. Like back then, taking care of children wasn't considered an occupation. Now today,
my daughter just said, my wonderful daughter just said, that's a great point. That's a great point. Come on here and say it. Come on and say it. You can say it behind the camera. Come on and say this. But no, get a little bit closer. Get a little bit closer.
I said that you can see how a lot of things change now. Like today, women consider staying at home and taking care of children an occupation. But back then, that was just life. It was part of their duty. It wasn't an occupation when they considered it, where I can't go to work, I'm taking care of the children.
Woo!
Back then, they went to work and took care of the children because taking care of the children, which is a duty, was part of life. They didn't consider it their occupation or
a job.
Yeah, a job. Like it was a job. The children were their duty. Like taking care of yourself.
It's like being a father. Like, oh my gosh, Shabbat's coming. Fathering is out the window. Everybody, do what the hell you want. I hope you heard what she said. She said back then, being a mother wasn't an occupation. Today, being a mother is an occupation. And it's weird. Like being a homemaker back then, they didn't have an occupation called homemaker. That was what you did. Today, there's literal, what are you? I am a homemaker. You mean you're a mother at home? Nope, that's a job too. Being a mother at home is a job. Being a homemaker is a job. Is it? I mean, is it? I mean, it'd be interesting to hear what other people think about being a stay-at-home mom. Oh man, Brother Richard said some of them women won't let children play on Shabbat. That's grievous. They can't play on Shabbat. I don't know. I've never considered taking care of my family a job. I just never did it. I mean, I never considered it a job. Like, oh, I have a job. Who's at the door? My job is to, I homestead and I work at, I don't know, Taco Bell, and I'm a father. Did you throw a father? Imagine putting on an application. Previous jobs, father. Father. They capitalized over titles, positions, and jobs. When this is our culture, the man. Oh, who said this? Sis is right. Sister said they capitalized over titles, positions, and jobs. When this is our culture to do these things. It wasn't a job. It was who you were. That was literally who you were. See, my daughter likes this sort of stuff. She's, you turned 17, right? She turned 17, so she's soaking everything up right now. Everything. Literally, they've turned our culture into a job. They turned it into a job. It's been a while since I read it, but Parable of the Vineyard had a pretty good article on cooking on the Shabbat. Elkown, you remember the title of it? I might just look that up. Cooking on the Shabbat. Parable of the Vineyard, I'm gonna look that up. Because I hear a lot of opinions from people today. And the whole point of this stream is, I think that a lot of people really need to, you need to look at the Bible and see what does it mean to you? What does it mean to you? If you can see and find these things, I mean, it's just disturbing. Motherhood was very much accepted as a group when I became a teenager, early 20s. It wasn't so much. Look at that. Look at that. Sister Colleen, put that up there. Does that fly up there? Is that one beetles? I don't know what that is. It's like, oh, it's a hornet. Okay. Motherhood used to just be kind of like, okay, you're a mother. That's, even though someone over here, you're a mother. Now it's everything's changed. The culture, as the sister said, we have things that are a culture that now they put titles and jobs behind it, when that was just who we were. That's just what we did. Now if you get together with a couple of brothers and you fellowship, you're having church. You notice how they always, we talk about that here in our household, where you remember when a woman cooked a meal at home, she cooked a meal at home. Now they call it a home cooked meal. You remember back in the day, brothers? Think of our culture. All the children were schooled. At home? Now they call it homeschool, and it's regulated, and they have laws on it. Everything that you naturally do, like my daughters are homeschooled, And we do the state testing, not because we have to, but because we choose to. I want to see where they're at. These girls, my oldest, who was going into her junior year, tested in a 95 percentile in trigonometry, algebra 2, algebra 1, and mathematical concepts. My other daughter was a 92 percentile. She's going 93. You just finished your freshman year, right? She doesn't even know what year she's in.
Yes, sir.
She's finished her freshman year. Algebra 1 and algebra 2, 93 percentile. English, both in the 90 percentile. Homeschooled. What percentile were you in English? Huh? Oh, you were 97? Oh, she was a 97. Where were you at? You know, if it's English, they didn't learn from me. I think I was on 12%. I took the test and they were like, listen, just throw his test out, please. You see that? See, capitalizing on our culture. That's exactly what's happening. The culture that we live and everything that is, there's always some stigma attached to it. You're homeschooling. You know, if your wife cooks a meal at home, oh, she made a home cooked meal. Oh, you made homemade pizza. No, she made pizza. You're right, homemade pizza. No, it's a pizza. I mean, come on. The culture, the agriculture, which was part of our culture, they detached so many of us from agriculture, and then they made it beautiful to go live in cities.
Or homesteading.
Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. My daughter said it, homesteading. Everything is like, oh my gosh, you're a homesteader. You eat home cooked meals. You grow your own food. You homeschool your children. Yes, 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 yes. Like, why is it so weird now? Because they've detached us from the culture. And then they come back around. There you go. Elcal said homemade means much better. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, my daughter crochets. My oldest one, she crochets. She's now getting contracts to crochet blankets for people. That's amazing. Everything goes back to the home. It does. But see, what they did is they took a blanket. Thank you. They detached everybody from the home. Now your child goes to school. Husband and wife labor at work, slave away at work all day. Then everybody comes home and the home is in shambles. Yes, homemade blankets.
They eat out.
Yeah, they eat out. Yeah, everyone eats. Now everyone eats out. You get on your phone, you hit a little button here and there, and then somebody goes and gets someone from Taco Bell for you. And all this stuff is a disaster to us. Now let's ask the question. When you read the law, the Torah, a lot of what you read in the Torah, it goes against. See, when you read the Torah, brothers and sisters, you're going to realize the Torah actually goes against a lot of what you learn in church, in these camps. Like, these camps will speak highly negative about you having individual rights. Okay. Does the Torah acknowledge and protect individual rights? Yes or no? Does the Torah not just acknowledge, but protect individual rights? Yes or no? Over Bus gave an answer. We can call it knitting, sewing, cooking, gardening, all taught at home. Thanks, bud. Does the Torah acknowledge individual rights? So we get some more answers. Over Bus said yes. Bible says that about the 2 or 3 witnesses, though. So unless I have another witness, we're just gonna sit here all night. Elcount said it. Exactly. A Torah teacher by the name of Brad Scott demonstrates how every concept in Torah comes back to a man, a woman, baby, a house, and a piece of land. I can post the link. Please post the link, Brother Gary. Please post it. LaFrance Hart, bless you, brother, said, totally. I venture to say that motherhood and fatherhood isn't work in the traditional sense of the word. However, raising children to the best people they can be for Yah to a certain degree is work. Brother Gary said, absolutely yes. Brother Richard said, yes and yes. Yet there are groups, ministries, these camps that march down the street and singing, we will overcome them. They are completely opposed to individual rights. The Bible says don't move the landmark of your brother. Elkanah said, yes, individual and family rights. You have the year of Jubilee, the 49th year, in which a piece of property was, it didn't, so let's say I became a slave. So I sold myself to, I'm going to say, Brother Richard. So I couldn't take care of myself, and I'm a single man, and I sold myself and my land to Brother Richard. The Bible says, as long as the land is, I think it's not in a city. I think it's as long as it's not in the city, or not within the city gates. I think that's what it was. That 49th year, the year of Jubilee, when it comes, everything returns back to me or my lineage, so that my name is not removed from Israel. So my land, my family land returns back to me. Family rights, inheritance rights. There were all sorts of rights. Now, Yah is so perfect, he also created a social structure, a way to feed the poor. Do not go through your field a second time, brother. Don't go through a second time. Leave that for the orphans, the widows, and the strangers. Leave the edges of your field. You get to determine what the edges of your field are, brother, but leave them for the widow, the orphans, and the stranger. Where do you think the story of Ruth comes in? She and all the women that were in Boaz's field. See, there's also a social structure. Woman, you're single, you can't make it, go get married. Social structures. Brother, if you can't make it on yourself, you have the right to actually sell yourself to another man and become his servant. But there is even a day of release for that servant. Then I give it back, and there's the compensation equation. There you go, Brother Richard. That's absolutely it. Yah's ways are higher than our ways. We don't understand them. But in these I'm gonna call them Christian churches today, these Christian camps today, all they teach is collectivism. Give me your shit. That's all they want. They want your stuff. And they teach it under this guise of community and Acts 2 and Acts 5. No, they're bypassing Torah. Imagine that. And then they're butchering Acts 2 and Acts 5, because that's not what Acts 2 and Acts 5 say. That's not what they say. Not even close to what they say. But they'll butcher these accounts and just bypass Torah. They'll add to Torah and make it like, if you don't live with us, then you're not of Yah. That book don't say that. The Bible does not say that if I don't join you, I'm not making it to the kingdom. In fact, the Bible protects my individual rights, my rights of inheritance to pass down to my children and my children's children. It tells me a good man does that. So while you're mad because I won't buy land and give it to you, I am obeying the Father, though. I am obeying Yah, though. And hopefully, I can be considered at some point in time in my life a good man. See, we have to put the Torah, the law, over even what these so-called pastors say. You have to. Because I still want to answer that question. If your occupation is a pastor, and the Bible says that you're supposed to cease from your occupation on the Shabbat day, why in the Shabbat are you preaching, which is your occupation? You said it. You're a pastor. And why are you collecting you're collecting your salary on the Shabbat? You are literally working on the Shabbat. And then when you go into, well, Yeshua, stop. Yeshua was a carpenter. Paul was a tent maker. Paul also said, I made sure that I was not a burden to you, being the people. They stripped our text and added what they wanted to keep us further from the truth. Now we are trying to come back to correct laws and the false readings. Yep, that's it. That is it. They take everything away from you, and then they give you a substitute version. They take it's like they took away real chicken and gave you soy meat. They took away real milk and gave you soy milk. When you need to be focused on and that's what I'm doing here. A lot of people are so astounded that have come on to the channel recently. Because a lot of them have come from camps and groups, and they're like, "You're really just doing what you're doing." And yeah, I'm not focused on everybody else. My focus is if I can help you, I would like to help you. But what you're doing, I'm not here to judge your walk. I am not here to stare at your walk and define ways to condemn it. How about this? What if we all, if you're going to focus on your brother, focus on how you can help him? How about that? Focus on how can I help my brother? Where can I help him? Can I pray for him? How about that? Because Brother Alex is a great example. Me and Brother Alex have had great, deep conversations on similarities and differences. Yet at the end of all of our conversations, Brother Alex is worried about his house. I'm worried about my house. My only concern about Brother Alex is he okay? Are his children doing well? Is his wife doing well? Is the land doing well? And when he succeeds, I rejoice. That's it. When he shoots me a picture and it's of A, B, or C, I rejoice with him. I praise the Father with him. I'm not here to say, oh, Brother Alex, and I disagree with this. Because there's things in my life that I guarantee Brother Alex will disagree with me in. You know what Brother Alex isn't doing? He don't care. He's over here rejoicing when I have a success. When I achieve something. But we read this Bible and somehow it's happened in the spiritual realm where we've taken the Bible and we now want to use the Bible to try and hurt each other, like the book of Eli, how to control each other. When if you just read Torah, if you read that, you'll see all that's wiped away. So, and she continues on her discussion on can you cook on Shabbat? What I came out with out of her whole reading was this. I don't see in the Torah where it says you cannot you cannot cook on the Shabbat. I don't see that in the Torah. Don't see it in the law. So therefore, there is nothing for me to. Wait, was that Brother Alex? Honestly, I never even think about times we've disagreed. Those were insignificant occurrences to me. I definitely enjoy it when we interact. There you go. Do you see that? That's what's in his heart. My focus with him is, well, I think I'm good enough, ready to play ready or not. I think I'm ready. I want to take on that school level with you, but the high school that one looks pretty deep. But my concern is, man, is he doing well? Can we talk? Can we share? That's it. The Levitical priests had full-time jobs doing that stuff. That's why the rest of Israel had to support them. They had no time to make living on their own. That's exact, Brother Gary, that's exactly it. Their job was the temple services. These pastors today, they have plenty of time to get a job. Oh, wait, okay, help me here. Are not some sacrifices and offerings cooked and you can eat them? Isn't that, isn't that often on the Shabbat? Oh, that elk count? Ooh. At the temple too. Ooh. I can't answer that question. Oh, I'm about to say something. I don't know, Brother Elkown. I think I get what you're saying. I just don't have enough wisdom in that area to comment yet. But I like what you're getting at there. Yeah. I'm still not commenting, but I'm just saying, yeah. I know what you're getting at. Huh. That's why I say, hey, I will never, unless I get something clear, unless somebody can say it, show me a verse that says, thou shalt not cook on Shabbat. Thou shalt not warm up your food on Shabbat. Because I mean, I sit here like, wait a minute. Like we'll have a meal and we'll throw cheese on top of the meal and melt it. Usually on Shabbat mornings, we'll have oatmeal, cream of wheat, something like that. I mean, I'm putting hot water in a pot with butter and a sugar. I'm damn near cooking. I think that's why Yeshua, and all of Yeshua's writings, he always talked about judging self first. Even when he said, judgment starts in the house of Israel first. He's saying judgment starts internally before it can go external. Judge yourself before you ever have the audacity to go out and try to judge somebody else. Have you judged yourself? Have you taken the beam out of your own eye? Have you? You want to call somebody wicked and sin because they're cooking on Shabbat. But yet, if they were to come to you and say, "Oh, okay, hey, if I'm doing that and I'm wrong, I'll repent. Show me where it's a sin." And they'll bounce around Exodus 16. They'll talk about but and if, but they never can go and find that verse that says here's the verse. Here's the verse. They'll never do that. They'll dance around. All I'm asking for is a verse. The same thing that's happened when we have conversations on polygyny or how to keep the Sabbath day holy. It says no work, no occupation. Then people come in and say, well, you should do this, or you're trying to find a loophole. I'm like, I'm not trying to find a loophole. I'm going based off of the text. You're going based off of tradition. There you go. Boss Mike said the Jubilee year kept the 1% from owning 95% of the wealth. Exactly what we have today. The Jubilee year meant everything's returned back to the people. So you will never have a person owning everything. That's a great observation, Brother Bob. A great observation. That prevent the 95% from owning everything. Unless you were the servant that bore his ear with it all under the doorpost and became that man's servant forever. Yah's ways are just perfect. The whole point of this is kind of what this channel's been about. Unless you know 100%, don't judge. Because imagine you judge somebody unrighteously. Now unrighteous judgment has to come to you. If you don't know, what does the Bible say? Cover your mouth. I've been learning that. And I'm going to tell you, I have gained more brothers and sisters. And I have had great fellowships because I stopped judging a bunch of shit that I don't have a biblical basis to judge. When people come and say, can you do this on the Sabbath? Listen, all I know is what this is what it says. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh the Elohim. In it, thou shalt do any work. And then I just kind of, nobody in your house for 6 days, your manservant, maidservant, cattle, For if you touch it like that, you can expand, you can keep going. But if you touch it like that, and you will see the Sabbath is about labor. It's about the occupation of your job. So outside of that, I can't judge anything else because of Yah. Oh yeah, the Father loves feasting. Yes, he does. Loves the feast. Yeah, loves feast. Yes. Outside of that, how do I judge you and say, oh, you can't do that? Your children shouldn't be doing that, brother. Your children shouldn't be playing on Shabbat. What should they be doing? Brother, you shouldn't be doing that on Shabbat. Okay, so what should I be doing? Tell me then, according to the Torah, what I should be doing. Church. Is that according to Torah? Well, in the book of, over here in Corinthians, I'm not speaking against Corinthians, but I'm saying, so if I don't go to church on Shabbat, if I don't go to wherever you think I should go, am I in sin? My question is not, do you like it? The question is, am I in sin? And that's the question that we have to start asking ourselves. According to these judges that we have, are these people in sin according to the Torah? So, I will ask this. Based on what some of the, we didn't cover all the verses, didn't have time. Based on what we've read, can we say that a person that cooks on Shabbat is in sin? Can we say that they are in sin? Because I'll be the first to say I cannot say that person's in sin. No more than I can say I'm not in sin. But Alex said, I chose not to cast that stone in particular. Yes. Can't say it. Am I going to continue to not cook on Shabbat? Yes. Can I judge anybody any differently? No. Am I saying that I am right? I am saying this. I am saying that you can be right and I can be right. Yah, where there is no law, there is no. Let's say it now. Where there is no law, there is no what? That's good. Every man's threshold. Yes, sir. Where there is no law, there is no what? There, Brother Gary said it. Sin. Where there is no law, there is no sin. So I can't. CFP, Shabbat Shalom. So if there is no law there, then for me to say it's sin, what I'm saying is I'm judging you for something that I can't prove. We have enough of that going on. Now, brothers, I am also saying if you are convicted in that area, don't do it. But here's something that's kind of amazing. There are things that can be sin for you to do that aren't sin for me to do. Uh-oh. That's when people are like, wait, how can you say that, brother? How can you say? If you say, brother, I think this is wrong, well, then for you to do it would be sin then. That'd be sin for you. Don't do it then. Brother, polygyny is just so wicked and wrong. Don't judge me, first of all, because you can't prove that. Now, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. If you believe it would be sin for you to do, or it would lead you to sin, don't do it. But don't say it's sin. There are people who say eating meat is sin, eating chicken is sin, drinking alcohol is sin. It's not a sin. In fact, after this, rum and Kool-Aid already ready. It's already. Is it ready?
Not just single glass.
Is it cold?
It's cold.
Okay, it's cold. We good. We good. It's cold. There was a lot of things that people have in the conversations on this channel that I have talked with many people about that I don't say it's sin, and people look at me like their minds are blown. I had a brother ask me recently. I heard one of your streams. So it was a comment. So you're saying smoking cigarettes is not a sin? That's exactly what I'm saying. You're saying that smoking. I'm saying that it's not a sin. That's what I'm saying. Do I do it? No. Can I say it's a sin? You're asking me to judge something that I can't judge. Example: I can put a new firing pin on my Glock on Shabbat. A guy who was a gunsmith. There you go. That brother Gary hit it right here. A guy who is a gunsmith cannot put a firing pin in my Glock because that's his occupation. That is keeping true to the text, not adding to the text, not taking away from the text. A lot of people would disagree with what Brother Gary just said right there, but yet none of them could prove he's breaking the Shabbat. Not one could. And that's what Brother Richard was saying when he was saying that Yah's law is not grievous. And it's really not confusing. What's confusing is when you start listening to everybody else tell you what the law says. The reason back then we had so many people that needed to hear the laws because they didn't have access to the book. They didn't have access to the scrolls. They had to be taught because they didn't have access to the scrolls. But isn't there a verse in the Bible that talks about you don't need a teacher because the Holy Spirit is your teacher? Let me look that verse up. Brother Daryl said, I can't say a person who cooks on Shabbat is sinning. On another note, can we say a person who isn't preaching or teaching or listening to preaching or teaching on the Shabbat is breaking it? Nope, we can't say that. Because if we stay true to the text says rest on Shabbat. The Bible doesn't tell us to preach on the Shabbat. Well, there are examples of people doing it, but it does not mean that that is the way. Like I said before, the Torah is law. The renewed covenant is case law. Those are case-by-case situations. It doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. It's just showing you case law. That's it. The Torah is the law. It seems to me that people are striving today to follow more case law than they are law. They're using case law to create whole doctrines of condemnation. If a brother was breaking Shabbat, that's still not a sin against me. I may bring it up out of love, but why am I getting wrapped around the axle? It's between him and his master. Oh! I need to put that up real quick. I'm putting that up. A lot of brothers would learn from that. A lot of brothers would learn from that. I'll read that again. If a brother was breaking Shabbat, that's still not a sin against me. I may bring it up out of love, but why am I getting wrapped around the axle? Wait. It's between him and his master. That's between him and Yah. That's not for us to do videos about it. That's not for us to try and destroy him, to condemn him. In fact, the Bible tells us to try and gain that brother. So in that case, there's a lot of brothers that I haven't seen eye to eye with. When I mean eye to eye, we didn't agree to all the same things. It didn't stop us from fellowshipping. And over time, I changed or he changed. But it didn't stop us from fellowshipping, talking.
And you forced him to change.
Yeah, and my daughter just said, I didn't force him to change. I didn't give him the ultimatum. You better change your wickedness or I'm leaving, or I'm going to cast you out as a publican and a heathen. What? Have you gone into your cornfield to pick and eat on Shabbat? Uh-oh. Brother Bob was talking about what Yeshua did. Brother Bob was Matthew 12. Brother Bob was talking about Yeshua going out in the field and picking. And then when the Pharisees were there, Yeshua didn't just... Here's a question. Woo! Brother Bob, let's go there. Let's do this. Because that was part of my notes. Where is it at, my notes? Nope, not that note. There it is, Matthew 12. We're going to read it in Aramaic. Woo! Brother Gary said it perfectly. I got to put that up in here now. Oh, Brother Gary. Look at that, brother. Look at that, brothers and sisters. Line up what Brother Gary said. Is that what the Bible says? Our only direct command for Shabbat is rest. However, rest may look different for different people. Who was talking about? Was it you, Ebony, that was talking about work? No, we were having a discussion about this, and you said work can be different for people. Ebony brought up, we were having this conversation, I was having a conversation with them, that work can be different for people. Like a person might consider sweeping the floor work. They may in their heart consider that work. Cool. That's not what I consider work though. Or that may be what I consider work, but that may not be what they consider work. Is it your occupation? See, we have to stick with the book. That's why the stream, the book plus nothing, the sweatshirt, a custom sweatshirt that I got, I love that sweatshirt. The book plus nothing. If our only command is to rest, and we see other examples of people doing other things, that does not mean you have to do it. That means that's what they did. Matthew 12. Have you already covered the guy that was stoned for picking up sticks on Shabbat? Yeah, Brother David K. The one observation I know about that is this. It doesn't say what he was picking up the sticks for. It just says he was picking up sticks. Hold on, I kind of want you to share that. Just behind the camera. Share what you were saying. And then Tanisha, you come and share.
With people having work can be different from many people, because we all have different jobs. So for instance, we have a homestead, so work for us could be going and planting in our gardens, because that's what we do for work. That's what we do to live on, and feeding our animals, or working on a house or things like that. Those things can be work for us since we live on a homestead, and that's what we do every day, normally 6 days out of the week. So, and then say someone, a mechanic or something like that, things that have to do with working on a car can be things that work for them, specific for them. Those things can be work. It can be different things. Someone who's a maid or something like that, or a servant for somebody. Those things can be, work for them, and it may not be work for someone else. Maybe like a housewife, where our duties are to take care of the home. So maybe cleaning up or whatever after meals may not be work for us, but it could be considered work for a maid who is their daily job is to clean up after people and things like that. So that's why I was mentioning about, can work be different for different people, or mean different things for different people. I think I was thinking of something else, but I can't remember right now. In regards to that.
And I think that's what Brother Gary was hitting on when he said rest can look different for different people.
Mm-hmm.
Because what one person considers rest, one person might consider it work. Like I consider, after going through what we went through when I went through my youth with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, I consider getting. I could not imagine us trying to get 12 children dressed.
Right.
12 children dressed and to church. That's a full-time job.
It is a full-time job.
I mean, my goodness. Yeah, when we go on a road trip, it takes us hours.
And we consider it a road trip if we're going to say grocery stores.
Yeah, we go to the grocery store. It's a road trip for us, because that's getting everybody dressed, every car seat staged in the van. You got to have your water for everybody. You got to have your bathroom break. You got to have snacks for certain children. Certain ones don't need snacks. And then by the time you're done, you're like, that was work. I just worked on the Shabbat so I could try and go to fellowship.
Just to still forget something.
Yeah. Wait. It can be, but the word is not specific about what is work. If it is good to do good on the Shabbat, the Father defined what good is. So yes, it can be something very different. Yeah, sure can. And I think that's the problem that a lot of the Jewish sects had. A lot of the Jewish sects were like, wait a minute, we need a rule that can be established so that everybody does the same thing. I believe the Aramaic Bible has the story expanded details. I think that's where it was at. I also heard extra biblical reading mentioning kindling fire to strange gods. That's another one. Yes, that's another one. I have heard that doctrine. Yeah, somebody mentioned that one. That the kindling of fire was the strange gods. Yeah. I did remember that one. Elka, I'm glad you mentioned that, brother. I do remember that one. I remember that one like years ago, though, that the kindling fire was the strange gods. And we've taken that to mean kindling a fire. Yeah, Elkan said, was he about to kindle a fire to strange gods? So was he doing all this to get ready to sacrifice, and which we know Israel was doing in the wilderness? They built a god in the wilderness and then worshiped him and said he's the one that brought us out of Egypt. So that's the point that we're trying to make, is that before you go off and judge somebody, so when people say, is it commandment or is it tradition? Here's what I will say. Based on what we studied, cooking, because we don't see that, We don't see thou shalt not cook, thou shalt not prepare food on Shabbat. That would fit under tradition. Even though I'm still not going to cook on Shabbat, the idea of trying to present that as a irrefutable fact that that is a law, you can't do it. You can't do it. And there are exceptions. The watchmen were always, oh yeah, that's another great point. Brother Gary said there were exceptions because the watchman was always on the wall. The watchman was always on the wall 24/7. So military, security, LELs get a pass. Yeshua healed on the Shabbat, so EMS, hospital staff also get a pass. That's woo. Bless you says, this is great knowledge. I need to attend more open discussions about our Father and his laws. Thank you. That's all we try to do here. We're here usually every 6th day, and we just discuss it. And it's an open forum. It's just brothers having a conversation. And that's what really, because what this does is this allows our more knowledgeable brothers that know more than me. It gives them a space to show what they know. And then I get to be blessed. That's the one thing that I love the most, is I get to sit here and get blessed by other brothers that have information, that have knowledge, that have wisdom, that have understanding that I don't got. Imagine, today's typical church situation where the pastor blesses everybody else. Nobody's able to help him except financially. That's the only way we help the pastor. We pray for him and we give him our money. But see, when you have fellowship, ecclesia, when you have that, everybody gets to sharpen each other. And I love being sharpened, I'll tell you that. Gary, for the LEs, I would agree, and I definitely have covered shifts on Shabbat. However, I don't stop cars and I don't do reports. I would only respond to crashes essentially. I typically took calls from the house those days. Look at that. Yeah. Okay. All right. She's got something she wants to say. Elkan said, hold on. Elkan said, we all get blessed. That's right, brother. All of us get blessed.
So I never responded to the original thing you were saying, but there was a thought.
It's a little bit louder.
Okay. Someone said, so all these people, paramedics, this, that, and the other, Yeshua healed on the Sabbath, so they get a pass. But, and I'm not saying they don't, because I don't, it's not like I know all the details. The definition of labor, work, and it goes into things, does give you okay, so this can go with my first answer. I told our master, I said that one of the things that I noticed is that Torah does give you enough information for you to get the basic definition. Otherwise, we start sounding like Yah gave all of us options on how to obey his commands. And if he's the boss, how are we telling the boss how we going to obey his commands? But he leaves enough room where the things you don't understand, we're talking about, it's almost give you a chance to have a personal relationship with Yah, because he convicts you or each household or each man for his family what they can and cannot do. And then everyone's personal convictions may be different, because what he tells one person, he may not tell the next as far as personal conviction, but there is usually a basic guideline that everyone must fall under to, whatever. And there's, so some of those definitions says occupational work is you're supposed to rest from, or different things like that, labor. So if someone's already works in a hospital or works as an EMT or something like that, I'm just kind of wondering, do you get a pass, or should you, if you're able to do good on the Shabbat, should you get paid for it then? Because Yeshua healed on the Sabbath, he didn't get paid. The king that healed the guy who had the leprosy, he had to heal, and when his servant wanted money for him, he said, no, you're not getting paid for that. And when he did, he was cursed. There's a lot of healing things where people tried to get money, it also followed up with a consequence. A lot of this goodwill work had nothing to do with getting paid. So if you're going in and saying, well, I'm being an EMT and this is my natural job, well, that's your natural job, and then you're going to go get on the clock so you can also get your regular everyday paycheck. That's just food for thought. I'm thinking that that could be different. If we're going to use Yeshua's healing as an example, then Yeshua didn't get paid. If we're going to use any of these other people's example, they didn't get paid. So I just think we should think about that too.
That is
like
something that has to
do
be
it,
presented.
don't get paid at least, or something like that. Just a thought.
That would be something that would have to be presented, and that would be for each man to figure out himself. Like for myself, my stance is I don't do any of that. So, like I worked in a hospital setting. I never worked on Shabbat. Never. That was one of the things that I told them from the beginning is I'm not working on Shabbat. It is what it is. They knew if we did, which they end up doing almost every Shabbat, they would call me in after Shabbat. We have a violent patient. We need somebody to come in and subdue this patient. We can't control him. He's trying to beat up the nursing staff. Will you come in? They knew after Shabbat, I'll be there. After Shabbat. But I don't tell people what it is that they should and shouldn't do. That's not my job. But the sister makes a fair point. See, Brother Alex said he's on salary. Oh, wait. Hold on, Brother Alex. Tanisha.
Yes.
He's on salary, so he doesn't get paid any extra or any less based on his hourly.
That's what I said. Each person is this kind of presentation. I was going to also present this last part was
he's a trooper 24/7 on and off duty. My pay does not change if I get involved in something off duty or if I stay home on Shabbat. It's the same pay. So that's what it is. Yeah, that's way different.
And I think about the Apocrypha though, and in the Bible it too says, known to who thou is doing good, but it tells you the type of people to help. So when you say hospital jobs, if these people are not his people too, is that part of the?
So I don't think that. I don't know. I don't think that plays a role.
I wasn't sure. I was saying does that matter or not. Okay.
I think doing good is doing good.
It's doing good. Okay.
And and Brother David came that's the whole point. The stream is the whole point of the stream is it's not nobody has to agree with what I'm saying, but it's just the idea of something that we can think about. That's it. Yes, he said if he stays home on Shabbat, it's the same pay. So that would be different than if you're picking up overtime on Shabbat, which I think a lot of people do. They'll pick up an extra shift on Shabbat and then say, "Well, I'm doing good." No, you're doing it for that time and a half. I was an EMT prior to Torah. Now, if my license was current, I would not work on Shabbat unless there was no one available to cover a shift. You cannot let people die to be religious. I agree. I absolutely agree. Because if that was the case, then I think that fits under kind of the same idea of when the Maccabees, when they fought on the Shabbat, because he said, we all gonna die if we don't fight on the Shabbat. So if somebody came and tried to break in, or if somebody was breaking in your next door neighbor's house, and you knew and you could hear a tussle over there, you're like, well, I'm an Israelite and I keep the Shabbat, so they're just gonna have to get slaughtered over there. I'm going over there and I'm putting in work. Because that may be what that person needed to see, oh my gosh, this person saved my life. What are you about?
That could be a witness.
That could be a witness.
Yeah, that's true.
That could be a witness. Religion lets people die every day. Relationships is what brings life to people. And that's what we need to cultivate more. What you say in CFP right there. So many people people spend their time trying to separate themselves from everyone because they've been taught that in religion. They've been taught to separate themselves so much that, like, you know, it's so mystifying. And that one ended. Because what I've seen in the faith is that people try to separate themselves so much in their little communities and their little, groups, and they swear that they have an idea of how the children of Israel did it. How many of us think that we know how the children of Israel actually lived in their tribes. Does anybody actually know? We see so very little evidence, so very little of their lives actually living. And in some of those cases, we see fighting with Benjamin and the wars that they had amongst each other. But we see so little evidence of how they actually interacted as brothers, as community. So when you see these communities today and they're telling you about, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done, they have no clue how to do it. None. They have no clue. Because if they try to use Torah, the Torah says they had boundaries. They had inheritance rights. So they're not doing it based on Torah. They're not doing it based on Acts, because to try and say you're doing the Acts, all things in common, and all you have is like 3 verses? No. No. So they're making it up as they go along. And they're imposing these non-biblical rules on people. And they don't actually know how to do it. Ooh, DUI enforcement. My brother used to do that one. Yeah, what I see a lot, kind of going on with what you're saying, Brother Alex. I see a lot of religious people who don't actually understand the Shabbat. They kind of see the Shabbat as like, for a lot of people, they've never actually done good on the Shabbat. So the idea of doing good on the Shabbat, it's not there in their heads, because they've never actually done good. For most people, Shabbat is go to church. That's all they know. All they've ever experienced is Shabbat means go to church. They've never actually sat down and said, okay, I can do good on Shabbat. They've never done good. They've never done it. Or what a lot of these ministries teach really well in their manipulation is, don't do anything for anybody that's not us. You do it for us and that's it. That's another doctrine that's being pushed out there. What if it comes down, what if it all comes down to this? People are self-centered. We need to remember that we are all simply a part of the body of Yeshua. We're just cells of his body. His will is all that matters. Amen. Amen. Rest for me, whiskey, cigars, and hanging with my kids at our pool in the summer. That's it for me too, brother. That's it for me too. A drink, chilling with the children, watching them do something, chilling with I usually, Abby will come in and chill with me. She'll just sit there and I'll have a talk with her. She'll ask me a question. She does things intentionally though. Abby will come and like ask me a question that I think she already knows the answer to, just so I can answer it, because she knows it's going to lead into a Bible study.
She said, "Who are you talking about?" I said, "What are you talking about?"
You.
No, what was your one?
You. What I'm talking about? Sometimes you be asking me questions on Shabbat that I think you know the answer to. Tell me, am I wrong?
I don't know what question you're talking about, so I can't answer. I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes.
So you don't remember your questions? It is Ebony though, so she probably doesn't remember the questions.
I'm thinking if I ask you a question, I don't know the answer.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected. She said she actually asked questions that she doesn't know the answer to. And then it goes into a Bible study.
She said she thinks.
And then somewhere in the middle of the Bible study, I'm facing that dilemma because she'll start nodding off. Tell me you don't. Tell me you don't.
Now that
she'll start nodding off, and I'm like, okay.
Because I can't sit still too long.
So, do I finish the Bible study, or do I let her rest? And it usually ends up being, just go ahead and go get in bed. And then after she wakes up and says, no, I want to hear your answer. I want to hear your answer. I'm like, okay. So I start back, and like 20 seconds into it, she'll do this. I'm like, you can't tell me you want the answer and fall asleep 20 seconds later. No, master. Go ahead. Finish.
I do. It's hard for me to sit down. No matter what it is. If I sit down too long.
I'll tell you, Ebony be enjoying the Shabbat. Had a guy tell me him running his company on the Sabbath provides for his employees, so he is doing good. He is doing good work on the Shabbat. Woo! I am retired. I rest every day, but Shabbat is special for me. Hallelujah, bro. You earned that rest. You earned it. The Bible, the traditional 66 books and the apocryphal books don't tell us 100% of what Israel did back in the day. Through religion, we've added on out of ignorance what we think. Oh, well, let me put this up. Whoa. Brother Daryl, you hit the nail on the head, brother. Brother, you hit the nail on the head. I want to read this one more time because this, Brother Daryl, I speak to my family about this all the time. Out of all the Bible, we don't even know all the people that lived back then. There are people who don't have books, who probably had great stories, who were probably really close to Jacob, who may have been really close to David, that wasn't Jonathan. But there are people, I don't think that at all we have even close to what was going on in the Bible. Not even close. We hear about Noah. We don't hear a whole lot about Ham, Shem, and Japheth at all. We don't hear about how they got wives.
Right.
We don't hear, we hear about Lot going into the mountains with his daughters, and then they had sex, and then bam, they're gone.
Well, the Bible, not everybody had the Bible because it was being
developed. Yeah, it was being lived.
The only thing they really had was the commandments, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's story, nobody had it.
Nobody had this stuff. There is so much in the Bible that we don't, there's so much, not the Bible, there's so much during that time that we don't know. We don't know what Esau was doing that whole time that he was wandering around the wilderness. We don't know what Ishmael, we have a little bit of what we know from Jasher that Abraham went and saw Ishmael yearly. We actually don't even know the sins of all the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Again, Jasher expounds upon that, but we don't know everything they were doing in Sodom and Gomorrah.
The letters to the church.
Oh yeah, the letters of Paul. Yeah, we don't even know Paul's response. The letters that they wrote to Paul. We have so little. Actually, we have just enough information for us to keep the Torah as best as we can and live our lives. That's what we have. So Brother Daryl said it's so powerful because we don't even know the whole. What was Yeshua's childhood like? Anybody? We know little bits and pieces that he was teaching in the temple, but what was Yeshua's childhood like? There are so little details that we know. It's amazing to me that people act like they know Paul, Peter, John the Baptist. We come into John the Baptist. He was unborn, and then bam, he's an adult. Can someone tell me what Jonah's childhood was like? Daniel's childhood, David's childhood was like? Can somebody tell me about David's brothers? What were they like? What Israel? Can anybody? We don't know any of these details, but yet you will constantly find people that act like they lived with Moses. They act like they lived when Moses was in Egypt and was under Pharaoh. What were his teachings? What did he learn? What were some of the cultural things that impacted him when he was helping Israel? When he went to Jethro, when he left and ran to Jethro, what was his life like there? Can anybody tell me these details? No. But yet you'll have people talk about these men's lives like they were homeboys. They read a little bit, and see, in that same spirit, extends into today. A person can know you for, I don't know, 6 months and think that he knows your whole life. And that comes from us not humbling ourselves and realizing we only know this much about the people in the Bible. That much. That much. We don't know a lot about Abraham. In reality, we don't know a lot about Abraham or Isaac or Jacob or the 12 patriarchs. We don't know a lot about anything. But we act like we do. We act like we do. Which I always find funny that people are always trying to name themselves after biblical characters and you don't know what his normal everyday life is like. I think that leads to a great deception, to think that you know these people personally, and then when you don't know, you just say, well, I know them spiritually. You don't know them at all. It's really a story that you're reading on the page. And you're not Daniel. You didn't go into a lion's den. How about this? Homeboy, you can't even face your pastor. There was no way you would have faced the king. Shut up. I had a brother try to get snarky at me at one point, talking about, well, I have the strength of this and that. I'm like, hey, your pastor's wrong and you don't even face him. Your pastor's wrong and you won't even go and talk to your pastor. You wouldn't have said shit to King Nebuchadnezzar. You wouldn't have said a damn thing to King Darius. You wouldn't have said nothing to these scribes and Pharisees. The reality is most of us would have been like Peter and bitched out and hid. Talking about, oh, I would have done this and I would have done that. And you wouldn't have done a damn thing because you ain't doing a damn thing now. It's always about, oh, I would have stood up and I would have and I would have and I would have, and I was during that time, I would have charged them and I would have fought for Yeshua. And if I was in the time of Maccabees, I would have fought. You ain't doing that shit now. Stop. Humble yourself. It's insane. We read these stories in the Bible and we think we're them. We think we're better than them. Man, CFP said people trying to be Bible characters and haven't even figured out who they are or asked the Father what he wants them to be. Bro, for real. Bro, that is for real, brother. Haven't even figured out who they are as men today, but they're a Bible character. Talk about, I would have fought Goliath. Bro, you're trying to tell me you would have trusted in Yah and put your life on the line for Israel and fought Goliath. Yet you have a pastor who is wicked as shit and you won't confront him. Well, you would have fought Goliath. See, it's those spirits. It's those spirits. We get into situations in this life and we fall apart. Like we fall apart. Talking about we would have taken on Goliath. I would have gone online. See, if I was there with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I would have gone in the fire furnace with them. No, you wouldn't have. When the king had the dulcimer and suckbutt and the trumpets and the flutes and the clarinets and the recorders all playing, you would have bowed to. Oh, I'm just tying my shoe. I'm not really bowing. I'm just tying my shoe. Just tying the kicks. Just tying the laces on the kicks. I'm not really bowing. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So we can stop playing now. See, the thing is we have to be happy that Yah has not really ever tested our boasts. While we're talking like Brother Gary, like what Brother Daryl's saying. We don't know what Israel did back then. We don't know how tough and how hard they were. We have very little knowledge of what was going on at that time. We have bits and pieces of stories. Out of Israel's, all of their 40 years in the wilderness, we have bits and pieces of their experience. But I guarantee you, the tests that you read are not the only tests that they experienced in the wilderness. Guarantee you. Those are not the only tests. Those are only the tests that are written. The tests that were passed down and put into the Bible. Those are not all the tests. I would say this, even if, the death of Yeshua, I would guarantee that the Romans did way more to him than what is written. That is only what is remembered. And we have to remember that. When you read this book, you're not reading the totality of a story. You're reading what was remembered, what was passed down, what was transcribed, what was added without possibly, hopefully being tampered, but you really don't know the story. So when you say, I believe, you better make sure you believe and stop acting like you know these people. You don't. You know Yeshua only because of his grace and mercy and showing himself to you. Acting like you know Yeshua because you read the story of him and now you know him. To paraphrase what Yah told Job, we should ask ourselves, where were we? Where were we when Israel was living their lives back then? Answer if we can. Where were we? We weren't even an inkling. We were nothing. But we got people today that talk about that time back then as if they were there. It's not spirits. People are weak and wicked flesh sacks with no discipline. Doing hard shit ain't something most people don't want to do. Discipline requires a man of righteous character. Yes. Yes. Woo! 80-year-old man facing giants. We don't have many men like that nowadays. Brother Gary, no, we don't, bro. No, we don't. Tribulation will break most. Only a few make it. 2 or 3 from a city. Wow. That should worry us all. Think about that. The Bible says 2 or 3 of a city. 2 or 3 of a city. That means that a lot of people are being broken. A lot of people who had that, yeah, I'ma do it, end up finding out, nah, you ain't gonna. You ain't gonna. This is why I'm so thankful that Yah gave us the Bible, because he didn't give us the totality of everything, not even close. I mean, I don't even say, when I read the book of Isaiah, when I read the book of Ezekiel, I do not believe that those are all the words that Yah told the prophets to tell Israel. Those are some of the words that were remembered, that were passed down. Those are not all the words. We're trying to say that what we read in Isaiah, those are the only words that Yah told Isaiah to tell Israel. No. No. We don't have, this is not like, the Bible is not the Truman Show. We don't get to watch, what's his name? Jim Carrey. We're not watching Moses live his life with hidden cameras. We're getting snippets of a man's life. How long did Moses live? Anybody? How long did Moses live? Brother Gary said, or CFP said, throw me in a pit with lions and I'm probably just going to die. For real, bro. For real. Brother Gary said, me too, bro, right after I shit myself. Bro, me too. And that's just the humility. But anybody, how long did Moses live? Anybody? Does anybody have an idea how old Moses was when he died? How about Abraham? How about Noah? I know they lived a long time. And I know the Bible does not cover even close to the amount of events that they experienced. To actually know, when people would reference Noah, like, Noah was going through it, people were talking about him. Do we even know what that looks like? Do we even know the amount of clowning that Noah experienced when he was building the ark? Sister Cassie, Shabbat Shalom says, blessings to the house of Brother Rob. Bless you, brother. I honor you. Shalom, shalom. All right, Brother Gary said Moses 120 years. So what we're saying is that we have a whole entire life of Moses. We don't know Moses' joys, his doubts. We don't know the things that he experienced. We have a little Cliff Note. Bible really is a Cliff Notes version of the life of Moses. The most important thing of Moses' life kind of being the law and what he experienced with Israel, but that's not even the detail. We don't know the details. We know bits and pieces. That's the thing that frustrates me with people, these experts, biblical experts. None of them met the person, know the person, and we don't even have a full story of the person. We have a small portion of this person's life. And that's it. Small portion of that person's life. Can we at least be humble enough to say, hey, maybe we just don't know shit? No. Maybe we just don't know anything. I read in Jasher and how y'all got the animals on the boat. 7 pairs of clean and 2 unclean. And I start doing the mathematics of that all. I'm like, what kind of boat was this? And what kind of separation of quarters, of animal quarters did Noah have? Like you want to start thinking about all the different types of animals that are out here today on Earth? What? Because it's not 2 by 2 as the Christian, things say. We're talking about 14 clean animals and 2 unclean animals. What size of boat was that? I mean, I know we get the dimensions. Yeah, but Gary said a big ass boat. That's a big ass boat. Yeah, El Cal said a super tanker barn, right? Like those oil, those ships that carry those shipping containers across. You're talking about a big ass boat. We go through tribulations we go through somebody talking about us for a month and we about to fall apart. How long were the people mocking Noah? How long? So, because somebody put it in the chat, how long was Noah being mocked by the people? Look at this dumb fool building a boat. Got his sons out there doing dumb shit. Building something for something that ain't ever happened yet. We go through it for a month. We're like, oh my God. We go through it for 6 months. We're like, I'm being persecuted. I'm being persecuted like Yeshua did. I'm going through it. It's funny when people try to compare what they're going through with like what Yeshua's going through. Just what we know of what Yeshua went through is horrible. And that doesn't include the stuff that we don't know that he went through. Look, okay, so CFP, 125, 120 years. We can't even make it 6 months without feeling like we're about to fall apart. Homeboy made it 125 years of having shit talked about him. 125 years. Now, this is my humble opinion, but Yah knew how much to give us in his word. If we did know all of what Israel did and what Yeshua did, I think we couldn't have handled it all. Yes. Brother, I agree with you. I think that if we had known the real, the whole story of Yeshua, of Abraham, of Isaac, of Jacob, The details, just the details in Jasher of Abraham taking his son Isaac are like, whoa. That's so Satan came to Abraham as an old man, as an elder in Israel. Whoa. Satan literally transformed himself into an old man and approached Abraham. And Abraham was able to see through it. Today, we get pastors and we get jacked up by him. But Abraham was able to see through this man. If we all just stayed home, that's what it is. If we all just stay, I think of the story of Susanna a lot. Imagine you got these two old dudes who really just want to, the F you. That's what they want. These are elders in Israel. And all that they're driven to lust so much that they know you're married and they're over there watching you take a shower. Two elders in Israel who are friends with your husband. They've been in your husband's house, judging matters in your husband's house. Meanwhile, they're over there looking at that side eye like, damn, she fine. Look at that ass. Damn, look at that ass. Look at them titties on her. Woo, she's smoking. She's out there taking a shower out back. They over there peering over the wall like, damn, I want to hit that. Oh, I'm going to hit that. And he looks over and sees the other elder like, oh, shit. Oh. Other elder's like, nah, I'm hitting that. And they're like, man, we're going to run a train on her. We're going to tag team this. I'm putting it in a more realistic version. We're going to tag team this. And the things that she had to go through, being doubted by her own husband, being doubted by all the people. Her name was always good in Israel, but suddenly now she's in jeopardy of losing her name and losing her life because they're accusing her of adultery with a young man because they're trying to cover their own sin. And a man named Daniel stood up amongst all the people, including in front of those elders. And today, we have bands. Does anybody know what a band is? I'll say it. Daniel stood in front of these elders and all the people and said, I am clear from the blood of this woman. And today we have bands. A band is a bitch ass nigga. And today, that's what we got. We have people scared. I'm so scared. The pastor said that I'll be wicked if I do this, if I say anything. I'm just supposed to say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, master. Yes, master. I'll do what you say, master. I'll say, I'll get as low as you want me, master. These scared ass people. Scary. Daniel stood amongst everybody, including the elders, including the woman's own husband, and said, nah, she didn't do this shit. Let me test these two elders. Let me do it. I'll test them. And see, he didn't do it. He didn't wait till he got away from the internet, got away from them and started talking shit. He did it right there in front of them. Right there in front of them. And said, you're wrong. You're trying to condemn a daughter of Israel to death to cover up your sin of trying to run a train on her, essentially. He tested those two elders. It was shown that they were lying. And then all of Israel rejoiced. See, today, in today's religious world, they would call you rebellious, brother. You rebellious. See, we read these stories and we don't even really think about them like, man, the guts it would have took to stand up in front of everybody. Today, people be talking about, yeah, I heard from Yah. The Spirit led me. The Bible says the Holy Spirit entered into a man named Daniel, and then he stood up. And today, we scared. I can't tell you how many messages I get. Brother, you better not speak against Yah's anointed. Shut up, dog. Shut up. I ain't you. I ain't you. That's what it comes down to. The truth is the truth, and the truth stands. So if what I was saying was wrong, then your pastor should have no problem refuting what I'm saying. But instead, they go to their channel, they talk crap about you and your family and your wives and your children, and he ain't this and he ain't that and yeah, but you're never addressing what I said. You can talk about my bald spot, I'm cool with that. You can talk about that I ain't rich, I'm straight with that. But I notice you're not addressing the words that were said. You're not addressing what the book says. Let's talk about that. That's right. But Daryl said, today we'd call those elders observing Susanna bathing dirty old men. Exactly. 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 I'm not advocating for people to rise up and overthrow the church. What I am talking about, though, is how long do we sit back scared? One of the things that I noticed throughout our people, throughout history, is strength. I do see that. And it's anybody that claims Israel, I see strength. And today, it's just fear. I'm not talking about starting drama. I'm not talking about going to the internet, starting drama with people, or things like that. I'm talking about living your faith. Living with what you believe without fear. On this channel, we have brought many different ideas onto this channel. Many things that people go, brother, I don't know if I'd bring that. We talked about the feast days. Brother, I don't know if I'd bring that. We talked about Shabbat. Brother, I don't know if I'd bring that. Like, why are we so scared? We say we're Israel. Why are we so scared? Why know why? Because when I was talking to a sister, she was making mention of that. You know how we are. Yeah. If someone disagrees with you, they don't know how to converse with you without attacking you. And that's the problem. The problem is as brothers and sisters, so-called, we don't know how to just converse like we're doing on this channel. These are our fellowships. We don't know how to just converse and talk as men and as sisters. Instead, it always is, whose is bigger? We always got to go to that. It always goes in some bullshit alpha beta. And if you don't know where the alphas and the betas came from, it came from Rome. All that alpha talk and all that, oh, well, we need more alphas here. That is some beta. I mean, that is some Roman terminology. And if you don't know, look it up. The alpha and beta terminology came from the idea that alphas would take betas. You know what I'm talking about? Take them. That way. The Roman Greek way. Take them. And now that language is in the faith. Oh, you're just a beta male. Like, what are you talking about? That's what we've become. That's what we become. Instead of trying to lift up your brother, it's about trying to make your brother look stupid. I don't stand for that. I don't stand for that. So hopefully we can get more brothers that are willing to stand up for what is right. To be able to say, I don't know. To be able to say, hey, I don't see it in the law, it ain't sin. I don't see it ain't sin. It doesn't mean I have to do it. It doesn't mean you have to do it. But it ain't sin. I can't call it sin. Let me see this comment. Brother Gary said, the mentality of, if you don't agree with me, you're my enemy, demonstrates extreme immaturity. We all need to grow the F up. That is the truth. We need to grow the F up. And we need to have more conversations as men. Because I think that what Brother Gary mentioned right there, that mentality, if you don't agree with me, you're my enemy, is because we don't have conversations. We're being taught by these men who are brainwashing us into believing that that's the way it's supposed to be. You don't agree with me, you're my enemy. No, it should be we should have a conversation about this and talk as brothers. You're a brother, I'm a brother. Let's just talk. And when we talk, I will now understand where you're coming from. And you will understand where I'm coming from. And even if we don't agree, we will say we're still brothers. And then in time, we may never agree. And that doesn't affect us. Because I don't know a single brother out here today that I agree with 100%. Goodness gracious. See, even that, but Alex said right there, I'm in Oklahoma police, not the Israeli police. I'll mind my business. And then when you do that, people say, oh, he's selfish. I'm like, dude, goodness gracious. You can't just serve Yah anymore. You have to jump and tap dance and go through loopholes to make yourself, you got to put on and wear the clothing. It's the funniest thing. The sisters took out their head coverings. Oh, they're falling away from the faith. Why? How? Their head coverings were off. Does the Bible say in the Torah that they have to wear one? Is there a verse I'm not aware of? Show me that in the Torah. It's our culture, brother. I said, show me the Torah, the law, that they have to wear. So you're saying that they are in sin because they're not following what you believe the cultural norm was, because you weren't even there. You weren't even there. I'm sorry, my frustrations are coming out. I resent that. I'm a dirty old man, but I would never try to do that to a married woman. See that right there? That truth right there is what I love about Brother Gary. I'm serious. Just the truth of I'm a dirty old man, I'm that. You mean that he's not trying to run around and present this holier than thou art nature? Nah, he's Brother Gary. Israelite, striving daily to serve Yah and keep his commandments. I love that. We just need more of it. Men that support each other, we mind our own business, and we're just real. That's the one thing I was trying to be on this channel, brothers and sisters, is real. So you may hear some language every once in a while. Listen, I'm just being real. Sometimes we may do a live stream. I might come on dirty. No shower. You might see wood chips on my face. It is what it is. But I resent this fakeness I see in this faith today. It's deceptive. We talk about women all day, men talking about women all day long. Makeup, they're hiding who they really are. And then we do the same shit as men with our fake holiness, our fake beards, our fake, garments. We brought in the phylacteries. We our whitewashed tombs. We clean the outside of the cup, but the inside of the cup is filthy as crap. So-called pastors say, if you are not in fellowship with them, you are not with Yah. Guess his groupies are the only ones going to make it to the kingdom. It's crazy, Brother Chris. Brother AB, it is. I listened to something that somebody sent me from that crazy pastor. And I was just like, if you're not with them, if you're not part of that group, you're not Israel. If you're not part of that group, you're not going to the kingdom. Or what I was hearing is, if you are part of us, you're not with us anymore. If you left us, you left Yah. What? So I can't grow? Am I like married to the ministry? Because the only person that I have a covenant like that with are Sister Ebony and Sister Tanisha. And then my marriage to Yah. I don't have that marriage to my pastor. I don't have that with my pastor. I'm not even sorry. I'm not married to my pastor. And I ain't his bitch either. It is, but it really is sick. It's a sick thought process. If you leave us, you're going to hell. Because you left Yah. What? I did? And then they try to compare it like it's a marriage, like a husband and a wife, and a man and his pastor. Dude, I know this is Pride Month, but come on, dog. I know it's Pride Month, and I know that's how you might mentally think that this stuff is, but I don't roll that way. I boast in Yah. I don't boast in what ministry or camp I'm part of. I am Israel, therefore I is real. Yah sees through our pretense and bullshit. We are better off just being who we are. What does it say in Sirach? The eyes of the Most High are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, looking at all the ways of men and inquiring into their secret parts. Whether you bullshit me or bullshit other people, Yah still knows who you are. Yah still knows who you are. So I'm with Brother Gary. You might as well just be real, because Yah already knows who you are. So people say, man, it is what it is. It is what it is. Making an assumption about how you do things because you learn more and move forward into the light. Yep. You know, Brother AB, I resent people like that. I really don't like people that do that sort of stuff, because they tear down other people's faith and they really get off on other people falling, you know, because then they can make their point of, see, they're not with us, that's why they fell. Yes, that's absolutely the truth. When you separate yourself from something, you're going to fall. If you were in bullshit and you come out of bullshit, there's a detox time that you're going to have. You're going to be falling because you've learned to live in bullshit for so long. So yes, when you come out of anything, when I came out of Christianity, there was a lost time that I had. There was a time, a year in which I was studying, but I had a hard time understanding because I could only understand stuff through the lens of Christianity or through the lens of Hebrew Israelitism. I didn't understand Yah or his ways. I understood the tenets of Christianity, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the tenets of Hebrew Israelitism. And now that I've come out of all these religions, oh yeah, I can read the book and I can understand it now. At least the parts that I read. People like to say when we make changes for the better that we've fallen away from the faith. Example, my wife wears pants once again. So does that mean she fell away from the faith? I say no. Brother Daryl, so do mine. Ebony and Tanisha both wear them. They both wear them. And I'll hear the talk, oh, they fallen away. Listen, I don't give a damn what you think about my family. I don't care if you think we've fallen away. You're not the beacon. You're not the bar. The Bible already set the bar. And the book don't say that my wife has to wear a skirt. That's your religious belief system. Because there weren't pants back then. What were men wearing at the time that that law was written? Can somebody tell me what men were wearing? Were men wearing Levi's jeans? Anybody? Can anybody please help me? Were men wearing Levi's jeans when that law was written? A man is not supposed to wear what pertains to a woman, nor a woman put on what pertains to a man. Were people running around in Dockers back then? Were men running around in Calvin Klein jeans? Anybody? Thank you, Brother Gary. Thank you. So when people come up with their own doctrines, the best thing to do is to search it out. Where did these people get this from? Where did they get this stuff from? Look, Brother Gary said white robe in parentheses. They were wearing robes, brothers and sisters. But yet, because some pastor, because some religious organization comes up with an idea of deciding what our culture is and then dictating to us what our culture is, because they read a couple books and now they know our culture. It's a lie, y'all. It's all a lie. So, Brother Daryl, I'm with you. I've heard the talk. They got them wearing jeans. He got them wearing jeans again. And he took off their head covers. And now they just so unholy. They just so unrighteous. Now they ruling and running his house. I'm like, oh. I don't mind your false judgments because eventually those false judgments will come back and run upon you. I'm not tripping at all. I don't even want them to come upon you. I think you should move on with life without talking about my family. But if you want to, cool. Because these false judgments will come around. As you judge, so shall you be judged. Oh, this is good, AB. Brother AB, this is good. Keeping the book is not hard. Wicked people make it hard for others. Oh. Keeping the book is not hard. It really isn't. It's just a choice. And that's really where people slip. You have a choice. Choose you this day whom you're going to serve. It's all a choice. The understanding of the basics of the Bible is not hard to understand. What's hard is that you have a choice to make and you want to make the wrong one. So you're trying to figure out how can you make the wrong choice but still keep Torah? How can I still eat pork but keep Torah? How can I still look at my brother's wife and keep Torah? How can I still steal and keep Torah? How can I still kill with my mouth and keep Torah? How can I still, I don't know, make baby mamas and keep Torah? Or how can I keep making myself a baby mama and keep Torah? That's really what the problem is. The choices. That's really what the problem is, which is why people love these camps, where you don't have to make the choice, where someone's making it for you. But believe me, you're going to make that choice, whether you like it or not. I'm done. My mouth is tired. That Brother Gary said it. The hard part is sorting the truth out from all the bullshit that Church Handy taught us. That's the hard part. The hard part is just filtering out what Brother Gary said. It's just filtering out all that bullshit. That's the hard part. Because there's that conflict of you see what you read, but you're hearing this person's explanation over here, and they don't line up. And even though we say we believe the book, there's always that conflict of, but I was raised this way. I was taught this way. I learned this way. I've lived this way. Not knowing that the Bible says that we're going to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. There's going to have to be a renewal process, a deep one. We have to understand that it took just a little leaven to leaven the whole lump. So now, in some parts of our lives, there was only a little leaven, but the whole lump got leavened now. It's the whole purpose of the memorial of Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Finding those little, that's telling you something. A little bit of sin leavens the whole lump. And the Apocrypha expounds upon that a lot. The sin is as a two-edged sword. It cuts as it goes in and it cuts as it comes out. The sin is like the bite of a lion, and the teeth thereof slay the souls of men. I walked this out easy. Then when I was in the church claiming to be a Christian, yep. Came out of that mess. Came out of these camps and these churches and started to serve y'all and read the Bible and fellowship with other brothers that just want to serve y'all and read and study and fellowship and grow, and it was amazing. It was amazing. It's a beautiful thing. As Brother Gary says, sort out that bullshit from truth. You'll be better for it. Have a better relationship with Messiah. Yeah, family, friends, everything. But I'm done. I think we covered this topic and we expounded even deeper, and we had just fellowship afterwards, which I always love. I want to end it how we always end it, thanking the Father. Hallelujah! Praise the Most High. Hallelujah! Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Woo! Have a blessed day of rest, y'all. Shabbat shalom.